Pound.
In a world,
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
Should the Carolina Panthers build around Bryce Young and Jonathan Brooks? Does Ian Thomas think he's fast? The Carolina Panthers defense is frustrated, J.C. Horn specifically. And Jonathan Brooks is eligible to come back, or they're opening the window. Will there be a fire sale in Carolina? Or will the offense find a way to pull some wins out behind a dominant offensive line? My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it each and every week with my wheelman, Cody Lack. How are you?
Tony, I know you're a fan of literature, so I'll just go ahead and say it like this. For our O-line, it was the best of times. For our D-line, it was the worst of times. And really, that's about all you need to say, man. It's a tale of two offensive lines. And look, man, I'm pumped, as always, to be here on a Tuesday night with my boys talking Panther football, win, lose, or draw. And you already know we have a big show planned tonight. We're going to talk about, do we continue to roll with Andy Dalton, or do we use this as time to develop Bryce Young? We're going to talk about Jonathan Brooks coming back to action for the first time for the Carolina Panthers. And a lot of trade rumors are already starting to swirl as the trade deadline approaches about one Diontae Johnson. And should he continue to be on this roster, or should we move on? Tony, as always, you know we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's our boy AU Link, the brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, Chad Howard, Kyle at Charlotte Sports One, Dixon, yes, Mr. Strats, what up? Muscles Marinara Paisan, what's up, brother? Nick Lyon, Panther Pickle telling people to shut the hell up, Sizzle God, and Roosevelt Mongo. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Give it up for Cody on the Charles Dickens reference, and especially taking it to the next level by saying a tale of two teams, or two offenses, defenses. Tale of Two Cities, one of my favorite novels of all time.
Figured like that.
The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the podcast. Consider being a C3 super fan. We need you guys. We're locking arms. While we had a group therapy session on Sunday, we meet back on Tuesdays at 9. And we're going to keep doing it because we're masochists and we like pain. We like punishment. CK, we've been flogged for 6 years. For the entire time you've been on this podcast. Doesn't look like it's going to change, but it's good being flogged together.
Yeah, well, that's debatable. I
feel like, what is that Cheech and Chong movie where they like the Corsican brothers? Have you guys ever seen that?
Well, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and be like a wet blanket or anything like that, but I would say like sometimes I'd rather get tortured, in an isolated chamber as opposed to with a group of guys.
With a group of million Panther fans together.
Oh man, no man, I'm just happy to be. Listen, we've got we've got each other, like you said. I mean, it's a brotherhood and sisterhood for many of the people that are still in chat here that maybe go the other direction here, or on the other side of the gender spectrum, if you will. Man, I'm just happy to be here talking with you guys. I get a little, overwhelmed. I don't even know if that's the right word when, Panthers fans are just attacking one another. And I just it's already crappy enough as a time of the season without us just attacking one another and like the beliefs that one person had at one point that turned out to be wrong. I promise you, every single person in the chat every single person on this panel has been wrong about something at some point in their lives. And that part is just a little bit, it's exhausting, but at the end of the day, I'm here to, again, discuss the Panthers and this team that I love, and hopes that we turn out to be a better team by the end of the year that we can be excited about again.
Cody, I can't believe it. I was wrong one time for thinking I was wrong. No. Who has the energy to go after other Panther fans at this moment about their takes? At this, right, we need to devote all of our energy to keep interest in the Carolina Panthers, keep interest in the C3 Panthers podcast. You guys are doing a great job. You guys fuel us. Like AU Link says, misery loves company, I guess. Well, we love your company. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Cody Lack, let's jump into tonight's show. Should the Carolina Panthers build around Bryce Young and Jonathan Brooks? Jonathan Brooks, man, exciting coming back, or, exciting draft pick, but also Chuba Hubbard's just been smoking it. Why'd you pick the title for this show?
Well, because I feel like this is the most prevalent conversation in Panther Nation right now. Andy Dalton is only under contract through the rest of this year. However, most people generally feel like Andy Dalton gives us the best chance to win. However, you continue to have this, I would say, a loud minority, yet still a minority, that is really saying that we are wasting an opportunity to basically develop Bryce and see what we have in him. And now that you have Jonathan Brooks coming back, considering that he was supposed to be a weapon to help Bryce Young look better. Listen, man, these are all things that we have to consider, things that we have to talk about. But before we jump headlong into that, Tony, we have to talk about this defense. Because, listen, you've been a fan a lot longer than me. I know a lot of you have. My fandom starts in 2011. But I've seen some pretty good defenses, and I've seen some pretty bad Panthers defenses. And this, by far, is one of the worst that I have ever seen in my entire fandom. Interested to know what y'all think about that, and everyone in the chat room as well. And just to talk about how embarrassing it's been for Carolina and what we can expect from this defense going forward. Tony Dunn, you brought this up, or you put this in the pod about J.C. Horn talking about basically the frustrating day that the Panthers secondary had against Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, J.C. Horn, the story on Panthers.com, defense admits frustrating day in loss to Falcons. J.C. Horn's out there. He said the most frustrating part to me is being here the last couple of years. Oh, if we had an offense, we could do this, we could do that. And now they're doing more than enough every week for us to win. And we haven't went out there and had that dominant performance yet as a defense. I think we got one. Do we got one more quote from it too? Let's see. Let's go to the next slide. I think we have. Nope. Oh yeah. He goes on.
Yeah, just the same thing. And I just threw this in there too, that right now the Carolina Panthers are on pace. The defense is on pace to allow the most points ever in an NFL season. They're on pace to allow the most points in the season in the Super Bowl era, which right now stands at 575.
J.C. Horn continues. He says, I mean, we can't stop anything. Boy, that's the truest statement you've ever said in your life. Not him, but that's just a fact right there. That's just what it is right now. I know we got players down or whatever, but at the end of the day, we got to find a way to get off the field, and that's when we'll start winning games. That's insane that we're on pace. I didn't really even feel like we're giving up that many. I mean, I know we've given up a lot of points. I guess those first 2 weeks, they put up so many on this team.
Right.
That it really kind of moved the needle. I kind of find that the most bananas part of his statement is like, we haven't had a dominant performance yet. I mean,
where's the lie?
But like, I mean, there's no lies told, but I mean, like, we haven't even had a semi-bad performance yet. Like, let's pump the brakes on dominant, and let's just get to. Let's get off the field one time.
Yeah, let's go 3 and out every once in a while. Man, it's just embarrassing, And again, I've been interested to hear from people in the chat room. Is this the worst Panthers defense you've ever seen through 6 weeks in the season? ever.
I'm the oldest head here, so I'll let CK go first. Worst defense that you've seen in your lifetime, CK, go.
Honestly, I can't recall one that I felt like was worse. So yeah,
Because there wasn't, dude. There wasn't. I think we still had who was it? Who was our greatest corner? Not Godfrey. That's what I was thinking. True. Oh God, what's going to come back to me in a second. Chat, help me out. Greatest quarter, Panther history. It's not Godfrey. I think we still may have had him in 2010. Even Godfrey was better to have. But that 2010 team was terrible. Freaking terrible. But that offense was just horrendous on that team. I mean, the defense was still bad. This is the worst Panthers defense in the history of the world. Chris Campbell, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I wonder if he was still, I think he was still there in 2010. I'm not 100% sure. But this defense is so bad that you don't even realize they're that bad.
Right.
Like, it's like, there's just nothing happening. You know, I go to the where I work out. This girl, her son is playing. He's just playing like Pop Warner football now. So he got out of flag football. He's in tackle football. But they're like in the time where every kid doesn't play anymore. You know, it's like you're getting on teams now where you got to perform or you're just sitting the bench. And the kid was real disappointed. He's real excited about his first game. And he didn't get to play any offense. They put him at like safety. Nothing happened. And she said he didn't do anything. He didn't even move. And I felt like that's what this Panther defense does. It's like they're not even trying to sack the quarterback. Like they're just not even moving. And I know that's terrible. I know these guys are playing hard. But it's so bad you don't even realize it's bad. It's just like, I mean, I feel like they're not even there.
Dude, you're not wrong at all, dude. I mean, listen, yeah, they're working hard, but it also looks like they're hardly working.
Right, exactly.
You know
they're
what I mean?
working as hard as they can to take a break.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing, and again, it really shows you how far behind the curve we are. Like this is, we've been talking about the utter lack of sack production, Tony, and this chart is just abysmal. This is points per drive without a sack. And the Carolina Panthers are down there at 1.56. Dude, like
I think what this actually, I don't know if this stat actually applies to the defense. I think this has to do with the Panthers offense, actually, this stat. I think what this is saying is that we put up the least amount of points without being sacked.
Oh, is that what that means?
I think
dude, either way.
Yeah. Well, no, is the Panthers are the only reason that the Panthers are, and I guess the good parallel for this table here in this last game, the Falcons didn't have a sack against the Carolina Panthers, and they still lost by like 30 or whatever it was. I mean, I know is that the Panthers have 6 sacks on the season. 6. Yeah. The highest ranked PFF defensive player was Charles Harris. I don't even know who that is. The only reason I know who he is because he's got one of those 6 sacks. And I was like, who is this dude? Panthers defense has 0. I would say that the pass rush is, I mean, clearly the pass rush does not exist, but teams don't even have to pass on the Carolina Panthers. In fact, I suggested, I think the week going into the Falcons game is to take the less than underdog fantasy promo code C3P. Less than on Kirk Cousins. And everybody's like, well, he threw 500 yards the week before. He wasn't going to need to throw anything. Just hand it off all game. And that's what they basically did.
Yeah.
Panthers defense stinks.
The one shining spot of the defense, it is indeed Trevin Wallace, who has the most total tackles in a player's first 2 starts in Panthers history at 24, beating out Dan Connor at 19. So, I mean, you have to take your victories as you can get them, And again, I'll say this. I expected the defense to take a step back, really, but I just didn't expect to be at this point in the season feeling like, oh, we need a brand new front 7. Like we need a brand new, almost everything on our front seven. We need more linebackers. We need 3 more defensive linemen to complement Derek Brown. It's a damn good thing that we have 10 draft picks this year. And as we're going to talk about later, the potential to get even more.
CK, think about these names. Amari Barno.
Yep.
Cody, help me with the guy that we traded to the 49ers that you liked from Penn State. Defensive YGM. Who was that guy? Christian something Christian. He played from Alabama. His dad used to go on the radio a lot.
Haynes or something like that.
But like, here's the thing: is and now DJ Johnson.
Yeah,
the Panthers have not had. Tell me the last defensive draft pick since Derek Brown that's worked out. And look,
Christian Miller.
That's what, yeah, Christian Miller. But and you can't say JC Horn because I'm not willing to say he worked out. It's great when he's on the field.
Yeah.
But minus Derek Brown and JC Horn, name one defensive draft pick the Carolina Panthers have had in the last 7 years that matters.
Defensive.
Chin, gone.
Jeremy Chin, not here anymore.
There's not one draft pick. Somebody in the chat, name us one defensive draft pick that the Carolina Panthers have had since 2020.
G Baby says 0. Tyler Jones says Jeremy Chin when he was a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
that's
he
what
was
we're
ultimately and that's because of scheme, I think, more so than anything. Hey, if you tell me, then is there anything more like here? Let's talk about Evero for a moment. Okay, we were praising him. Some people were praising him for the past 2 years, right? This year and last year, for basically doing the most with nothing that anybody could, right? Well, here I'm looking at the fact that Chin for 3 years was super promising, a very super promising player who got a lot of playing time on the field, who showed up, and Evero took over, and Chin was rarely on the field, if at all. Like, it was just, we saw a guy who had so much potential go from being a contributor to absolutely nothing. And then guess what? He's over in the Commander's uniform actually playing really good football. I'm not saying he's dominant, but he is out there and he's contributing as a starter consistently. Like, if you ask me, I look at the fact that none of our players seem to have gotten better with Evero at the helm.
Yes.
That's what worries me.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think that he has elevated this team to a place where the defense is like, oh man, this is it. I'll be honest with you. I think Evero's on the hot seat.
I think so too. And CK, remember how excited Evero was about DJ Johnson?
Yeah.
Like, apparently Evero was really big in the process of going up to get him. And he still looks lost most of the time. He doesn't make an impact. So it's like, at what point are you developing the players that you're bringing in to the next level? And he's really not. Maybe it's unfair just because of the lack of control that he probably has as, a defensive. I know he's the defensive coordinator, but I feel like with this roster, the way it is, with the amount of injuries, I don't know. I feel like there are very fair and unfair critiques of Ejiro Evero. But as time goes on and we continue to not be able to stop the run, to me, it's like there's no one else to point fingers at.
Yeah.
And I think Panther Nation pretty much unanimously agrees. Evero is donezo after this season, no matter what.
Man walking. This is my favorite comment of the night. We're generational ass on defense. CK, warm up those golden pipes, because people can be a C3 super fan, even though the Panthers aren't super. The C3 Panthers podcast continues to be driven by the fans, for the fans. Tyler Jones is here for you, CK.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I have one thing to say to our friend Tyler Jones. Welcome to the C3 Superfan Club.
Member for 24 months. Here's a copay. He said, thank you very much, Tyler Jones. You can join Tyler Jones in his 24 months quest of being a super fan.
And do like Baby says, hit that like button.
Yeah. Smash the thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, do the same thing. If you're on Twitter, hit the repost, the like, the heart, whatever it is. Be a friend. Tell a friend, as Pat McAfee would say. This generational ass defense. Boy, I'm ready to not.
Ass.
It is. Yeah, it's like as ass as Julius Pepper's wife.
That's a lot of ass.
That's a lot of ass, bro. That's a lot of ass.
Let's be real. That's more ass than most of us know what to do with.
I'll try to figure it out, bro. I'd rather go down swinging. I'd rather go down swinging and a failure than I'd rather strike out than never step in the batter's box, my man.
Yeah, bro. Hey, listen, if you're gonna shoot for the moon, you fall amongst the stars. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bend over. That's a full moon. I'm gonna turn into a werewolf.
Oh,
all right. What we got next?
Yeah, man. So look, let's move on to the offense. And again, this is a part of a continued conversation that we've been having just about the offense. Is it starting to stagnate under Andy Dalton? And what is there left for us to do? Who is this being quoted? Is this Andy right here, Tony?
Yes. This is Andy Dalton. He says, we've got to find ways to keep scoring points, and we set ourselves up and put ourselves in good position to do that in the last drive. And guys, we're making plays. It's when things are going our way and we're playing that way. We can play. I mean, it shows we can do. What he's saying is, look, this offense has shown some juice at some times. He then goes back to say, if you continue on in the story, he did say, look, the next part was him talking about the interception. He thought I think he said he thought you could have thrown it a little bit earlier and it might have been there. But if he could go back and do it, he'd take the check down. But what I think what we're seeing right here is that the Panthers offense, is like JC Horn was saying, right? Is that we've been sitting there going, man, the defense is playing well enough. If we just had a little juice on the offense, we could win some games. And right now the Panthers offense has a little juice, or at least enough to get a shot glass of orange juice or lemon juice out of that squeeze.
At least we're not throwing at Ian Thomas, right?
Oh, of course. Let's draw up and design plays. This to me was an insane. First of all, like Cat Crave, like what Dean Jones and them are doing, they really got the headline game down. I mean, they got that yellow journalism headline click. I mean, I like them. I'm clicking them. I'm reading them. I saw this story. It says Carolina Panthers veteran makes inexplicable admission over week 6 blunder. This is not a sensationalistic headline when you actually drill down into the story.
No, not at all.
It's like I was like, oh, this is it's sensationalism. This is whatever here. This is Ian Thomas on the interception play. Now, Ian Thomas has been on this team since 2018, and no one knows how he's made it through all these regimes. He's been hurt throughout this entire season. As soon as Jordan Matthews has a good preseason, but they're like, fuck Jordan Matthews. Ian Thomas is our guy. Ian Thomas comes back, first game back, I think, for Ian Thomas this past week. And he was part of that pick play. He said this, I kind of felt like AJ Terrell on my inside. I kind of felt him on my inside, but I didn't think he was fast. He was that fast to like jump it like that. Kudos to him for that. But he made a great play on the ball. And yeah, so he just got that one. It was an over route. He was outside leverage and the kind of stem vertical. He said he effing took off and then 2 steps turned into 0 steps right away. 2 steps ahead of him turned into 0. Yeah. Bro, I don't think you were ever 2 steps ahead of this dude.
Hey, bro, sometimes you don't have to say all the shit you're thinking in your head out loud.
This doesn't even make sense. Everybody on the field is faster than you.
Yeah, but dude, also he's a first-round pick at corner.
Oh,
it's AJ Terrell.
I didn't think he was that fast.
No, yeah, dude, this is literally like he's one of the best corners in the NFC, and he plays for Atlanta. Like, how do you not know that guy had the speed advantage?
And you're one of the slowest.
Yes, and dude, it goes back to why are we designing plays that are designed to go to Ian fucking Thomas? This makes no sense in the world, and honestly, it's infuriating.
Really. Ian Thomas thought he had wheels. That's what he thought.
He really did think.
Cody Lackney got more wheels than
he had.
Cody got more wheels than Ian Thomas.
Oh, I got 6 more wheels than bro. You know what I'm
Oh, good God.
Dude.
All right. Enough with Ian Thomas.
Yeah, let's move to. Listen, we talked about it at the start of the show. For the O line, it was the best of times. For the D line, it's the worst of times. How Panthers of a thing, right? That while we're talking about what might be the worst defensive front seven the Carolina Panthers have ever fielded, we might legitimately be talking about the best.
Oh, well, we won't go that far. Not the best, but it is pretty good.
But the fact that we put Brady Christensen in and Josh, I always say his name wrong. Josh Nijman. The fact that you put both of those guys in and everything still ran solid. We were giving Andy Dalton a ton of protection, a ton of time to go.
Chuba's just running inside. Inside run.
Listen, does this speak more to the guys on that, or like the fact that we were able to plug and play guys? Is that a testament to this offensive scheme?
I think it's a testament to what happens when you get 2 dogs in Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis.
I agree. I
and
think
then you can and Brady. Brady Christensen isn't. You know what happens is when you put an average. I always thought of this with who was the safety? Trey Boston, right? Yeah. Trey Boston was a pretty good player. You know, he was at. I mean, and I don't want to knock on him. I mean, he's obviously a better player than I am, but he looked good when good players were around him. But you put him on an average or below average defense, and he looked average or below average. So I think what you got here is you got 2 dogs at guard, and Christensen can thrive in that environment. But if you put Christensen at center and you got those 2 bums that we had last year beside him, he would be looking terrible.
Can I ask you, why is it Ike Ekwonu still making rookie mistakes?
That's
like in the worst possible moments. Like he does drive-killing penalties. Like it's just.
Is he still doing it? You're saying?
Yeah, I mean, no, he is. I mean, if you watch
Sunday,
he had three penalties against him, false starts, and I think there was a holding. I could be wrong, but
you're right. Terrible times too. Like when the Panthers are driving to get points on the board, he makes these dumb rookie mistakes. I would still say he's probably right now the weak link of this. Really,
oddly enough, I agree.
Line. And listen, here I go searching for pats on the backs, boys. But I told y'all that Brady Christensen wasn't going to be playing on the O-line this year. I didn't know what capacity that it was going to come in. But, dude, can we give some love to the boy? I mean, what was he? He was a 73.4.
At his first career start at center?
Oh, no. So, actually, Brady Christensen came in with the 3rd highest grade on offense as he made his first career start at center,
76 overall.
76 overall grade. So now Homie has played left tackle, left guard. He's played some right guard, and now he's played center. Dude is literally a Swiss Army knife of offensive linemen. How do you not love that dude, man?
To your point, CK, one is, I guess, to support my point here, is that the 3 top players on the offensive line were all in the interior.
Right.
The 2 lowest ranked players were on the tackle position, and that's what you're talking about there.
Well, that's
say
one of the things that I was, when Paradis was here, I had been saying that I think that when you're at a center position and the people around you, like to your left and right, are garbage, it is next to impossible to play center at a high level.
I agree.
It's all of a sudden you're trying to pick up other people's assignments, and you're constantly going to be stuck in this. Like, if I pick this guy, he's going to be a free runner over here. If I pick the other guy, it's a free runner over here because these guys aren't picking him up. So it looks like it's a failure of the center, when in all reality, it's the tackles not picking up their assignments, or, maybe not making the smartest decisions when it comes to, those pass protections. So I think that Brady Christensen got a great situation, and that's why Austin Corbett, I think, looked good this year too. It's not that I'm saying those guys are bad at the position, but they're certainly, nobody in the NFL would have put them at the center position and thought that they were going to play well.
So let me ask y'all this. Our very own brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, he put this in the chat. Sign Brady now and let Austin walk.
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting conversation to be had, because Austin Corbett has been hurt for
every year.
Yeah,
every
single
season
year.
Injuries, by the way.
Season ending.
Today?
And no, I didn't. I didn't see
it. Was him in the hospital getting surgery, and it said, "Raise your hand if you're tired of getting surgery." And he had his hand up.
Dude, I feel that has to be so.
I know.
Suck.
I feel bad for the dude.
I've just been a big fan of Brady Christensen for a long time.
Yeah.
And seeing how versatile of a player he's been for Carolina, that's another guy like Chuba that I would just hate to see walk out the door, especially after he's done so much for us and continue to play better and better every year at just about every position that we put him in. We put him at guard, he's a good serviceable guard. Now you put him at center, and he's a really good center too. I think it might be a little bit too early to say for sure that you sign Brady to be your long-term center, but I do think that now going forward into the rest of the year, this is a good little audition period for Brady Christensen to say, yeah, I'll be your center of the future.
Listen, you signed Brady Christensen to a 5-year deal regardless, because that dude's a Swiss Army knife. Like, he offers
5 years. We start with 3.
No, 5 years. He offers depth at every single position on the offensive line.
He's going to be the starting left tackle next year.
Dude, he might, but why would you not
sign him as a center and then be like, sorry, man, we're putting you in a Quando's position. Sorry, we underpaid you.
And see, this is one thing that's really unfortunate. Gareth Brooks says, I still think we should draft a true center. I don't know how I feel about Brady Christensen as a long-term option.
Well, we can see next week.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a little bit of an audition period for Brady Christensen going forward. But also the fact that this dude hasn't been given the chance to be a full-time starter at any position up until now is really disrespectful to the type of talent that the dude has. I maintain that he would have been good at left tackle for Carolina. Short arms be damned. I felt like he should have gotten that opportunity, but his lack of an opportunity to this point might cause some trepidation amongst fans who really don't know that we're getting a lot of stability at whatever position he ends up playing.
It can be difficult, guys, to watch bad teams in the NFL, whether it be the Carolina Panthers or my friend, one of my best friends, Sean. He is a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, and they're getting smoked just as much as anybody. And they got smoked by the Chicago Bears, guys.
Bad.
He has a tough, despite him being a Jags fan for, I guess, life since the Jags inception, he has a hard time dealing with the loss. But you know what helps him deal with the loss? He said this today, is when he hits on daily fantasy football, like Underdog Fantasy Football. And I'm telling you guys, you can go to Underdog Fantasy Football right now. And on Thursday night, you got Spencer Rattler, 182 and a half yards against Denver. More than rack it up. A half tutty. Rack it up. Spencer Rattler looked great in his rookie debut or his debut for the Saints. And I hate the Saints. You may hate South Carolina, Cody, but you could go to Underdog Fantasy and you can find that right now. I wouldn't probably be interested. Maybe you could go less than on a lot of those Denver players. Somehow Denver is winning games. I don't know. But making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up using the promo code C3P. We got it in the comments right there. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus $1,000, up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code C3P, C3P, C3P. To claim your new customer special of a free pick in your deposit offer. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void and CO dot, which I still don't understand that part. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, you want to dial 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 533-442. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. Underdog Fantasy C3P. Let's go.
It's a mouthful. Had to do it on Friday too. Hey, let me tell you, man, I got to be real. I'm loving me some Underdog Fantasy.
Let's get
it. They've been great. And by the way, like, if y'all really fuck with C3, if y'all really love us, that's the way to show us love, man. When you support our sponsors, you are directly helping this podcast grow and continue to bring these therapy sessions that you so need and covet. So help us out, man.
And one of the challenges about the new wonderful internet of them tracking every single ad, right? Like, one of the great things I love about advertisements now is I get ads that I care about. Like, so all my Facebook ads are like me, or like shoes. And I've been looking at shoes.
Undefeated. I love it.
Like, I'm like, oh, I want them shoes. I want them shoes. I want that. But one of the tough things is that advertisers also see exactly how many people use the code, and they expect codes to be used. And even though sometimes advertisement is a slow burn, so make sure you head over to Underdog Fantasy, claim that free pick and your deposit money, and use that promo code C3P. Let's go, Cody.
Let's go. So we already sort of talked about this a little bit, but this is more of the O-line, D-line stuff. This is about Jadeveon Clowney. This is Canales talking about him. We had some great talks with him. This weekend, just kind of moving him around throughout the whole weekend to kind of see where he's at. Again, we're just going to kind of test him and be day-to-day on that. For Jadeveon, we'll take any percentage of JD that we can get them out there, because he's certainly a help in all phases. How much does Jadeveon Clowney actually matter
a ton
to the Panthers at this point in time? A
ton. He's better than anybody out
really?
there. Yeah.
How?
He's been the only person that you could ever have seen playing hard on the defensive front.
Yeah. Okay.
You might be underwhelmed by the productivity, but if we're going to give all those freaking excuses about double teams to Brian Burns and this and that, dude, teams don't even do that. Like, it's like, oh, let's kind of watch out for Clowney.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, like, watch out for Clowney. But even if you had to double team him, it's not really that hard to take him out. Like, there hasn't been.
He's been almost home. He's been almost home a couple. No, man, he is. I think he's disruptive at times. Look, this defensive line is not worse with him.
Pardon me, I'm not gonna jump for joy.
Okay. Yeah, you're not gonna be jumping for joy anytime this season.
Definitely not at all. But especially now for Jadeveon right now. I mean, listen, I'm hoping that we can see more of him.
Sure.
But to this point, I'm not in a position where I'm like, oh man, we're in sore need of a Jadeveon Clowney right now. Like, I've just been very underwhelmed. And to be honest, that was my fear, that he was going to be another Justin Houston.
Oh,
look at guy on the line that just doesn't do shit really.
Maybe you have already made a predetermined conclusion, because look at my bastard son coming in here. He said Jadeveon Clowney's top 10 in pass win rate and run win rate.
Then where's the sacks? Come on, man. I don't know. That sounds like Hollow numbers.
How about this? Is that the Panthers are sitting there going, we would rather have Jadeveon Clowney on one leg than anybody on this team.
I know, isn't that wild? Like any part of him is better than like
We literally said that.
Yeah, any part of him is better than all the alternatives that are out there.
5% Jadeveon Clowney over the rest of the team. And guess whose name we have still not heard? Want him.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it now. Gosh, what the hell is this guy? Does he exist? Is he a fraud? Is he a real person?
They mentioned him in the press conference, and they're talking about wanting to be careful and not rush him back. And
but any part of Jadeveon Clowney is.
We'll take Jadeveon Clowney's hand, like the Addams family or whatever.
To me, it just seems like, and this is me with no evidence to support this. It's like almost like he's just like he sees how bad this team is, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm good."
This infected. He's like putting dirt and germs in his wound to stick around. Matthew Brown coming in hot with a C3 bomb right here. Thank you very much, Matthew. You guys support like Matthew right here. There's nothing to build off, man. I don't want to be that guy, but I think the win over Vegas is all we're probably going to have. Oh, this is a good segue to the fire sale stuff. Is that close?
It is.
There's an analyst who says, "Oh, that's what. Go back one."
Well, yeah, I know, but you want to do it now?
Yeah, I want to do it because of the comment right here.
Okay,
Thank you, Matthew Brown, for the C3 super chat. Also, thanks to people have been leaving. We got a C3 sticker or something like that where people donated after the podcast, which was real cool. $1.99 goes a long way, folks. You can be a C3 super fan. Many hands make for light work for joining in that support with Matthew Brown. This is Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports. He said the Andy Dalton spark is pretty much worn all the way off now. Regardless who's under center, they've got work to do to become relevant again. At 1-5 with the entire infrastructure in need of a reboot, there's hardly a better time to auction any worthwhile assets. And I think that relates, and this is why I wanted to go to this, Cody, for Matthew's comment. Because the Andy Dalton spark was the Las Vegas game.
And no, I mean, it wasn't just that one. It was the Cincinnati game too. I mean,
a little bit, yeah, but not as dominant or as good.
Right. I mean, no, and you're not wrong, but I think even at the end of that, we were like, oh man, this is so much better. I mean, even last week is. Last week was still so much better offensively. Well, I mean, if you look at his statistics, I mean, I don't really think the spark is worn off entirely on that front either. Like when you look at his completion percentage of 20 yards down or 20 plus yards, air yards, like he's ranked, I think, number 1 in the NFL. Like,
no way.
He is.
That's gotta be Burrow.
Top 5, right?
No, I thought he was number 1.
Gotta be Burrow, bro.
I thought it would be Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield.
No. If somebody that's in the C3 Legion chat will confirm, but they posted the picture today, or maybe yesterday, and he is 100% number 1 based on the chart that they posted.
I'll see if I can pull that. I mean, listen, this has been the conversation that we've been having, but Tony, do you want to talk about the trade aspect of it, or you want?
Yeah, I mean, we could go wherever you want. I just thought this is he said that the spark's over. That's what made me think about it. The other thing he said is that there's nothing to build off of. There was a Commanders fan in here earlier that asked if we would take a third for J.C. Horn. No. Negative. I think J.C. Horn, if he plays the full season, that we just take the risk and pay him. I think he's like the guy to build.
By the way, I mean, he's still on this team next year.
Oh, good point.
This is his 4th year, not his 5th year, and we picked up his 5th year option. So no matter what, I mean, so you're talking about Brian Burns, not even considered a top 5 a defensive end. Cornerback is a much highly sought out, like a higher paid position in the NFL. And J.C. Horn this year is playing, very well. Granted, he has had some liability issues where he's,
but arguably there's discussion, CK, that wasn't him, but it was also coverage breakdown somewhere else.
Well, that seems to be the case with everything that happens with Horn.
It's always somebody else's fault.
Well, but I mean, listen, I'm not saying that it's not. Honestly, I'm one of the people that was, giving him the benefit of the doubt with, a couple of them this year, saying that looked like it was a breakdown in coverage and things like that. But I don't know, man. I don't have any, I have no way of knowing, but at some point when it just continues to happen to the same person, you have to have a question about it.
There are two players on this team who are untouchable, and it's literally only two. It's J.C. Horn and Derek Brown. Literally every other player is fair game. I mean, I take that back. No, you're right. I take that back.
You're not say Chuba.
No, Robert Hunt and Gabriel Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting Damian Lewis, And I was getting ready to say those two guys. And in my opinion, just because of the potential that he offers, is Xavier Leggett.
Yeah, and also
you're not. You got a first round pick that you got the 5th round option. Like you're not.
We're in such a need of defensive talent that now you would just be so stupid to trade away the two best defensive players on your team, regardless of how many times JC's been injured. Like it just makes zero sense.
Well, especially if he makes it through this season healthy, it kind of gives you like, oh, well, it was bad luck. Because there was a lot of bad luck involved in some of those, like the one that broke his hand through the face mask and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But you're right. And I think that goes back to the super chat comment. And thank you again, Matthew Brown, for the $4.99 super chat. Is that we don't have anybody to build out off of but them.
Yeah.
And they're both young players too. So like that, those are the two. Like we have no defense. Like we have zero defense.
Yeah.
But those are the whatever substance of that zero it is.
Yeah. So listen, let's do our last bit of news, Tony, and then we'll get into some calls.
Love it.
So first off, and this is the big news that happened today, is that the Panthers are expected to open the practice window for rookie running back Jonathan Brooks. And this has been a big subject of discussion recently, as Chuba Hubbard has literally been a top 5 running back in the NFL through 6 weeks of the season. He's been running hard, running aggressive, running the ball and catching the ball. But now we have our 2nd round pick coming back. And this is, the question of, do we play him or do we just continue to let Chuba be the bell cow and let Miles Sanders kind of shadow him? But a lot of fans are excited to see him. This is what Dave Canales had to say today regarding their approach on handling Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, we just had to take it in stride based on where he was at in his body readiness and his movements. And again, those phases that you got to go through. And we just didn't feel like he was ready to clear some of those early stages. So we just had to keep doing the smartest thing for Jonathan first and foremost. And then think about where he fits into the whole picture.
He's so nice.
We just kind of took it that way, and we were really, intentional, really engaged with Andrew Altoff and Kevin. We were all together, just kind of talking through this whole process.
And isn't that also a roundabout way of saying, hey, Chuba Hubbard made us? It put us to the point where we didn't have to force Jonathan Brooks in there to get him hurt all over again. We were afforded the opportunity to let him sit for a little while.
Why does he sound like a middle school counselor?
Ted Lasso, right?
I mean, we just want to do the best. I mean, his tone, his demeanor, his look, it's just like, man, he's just a nice dude. Nice dude.
I still love knowing that he's a reformed party boy who was just out here.
It's my favorite. Do you remember? Yeah, we did when we pulled the book up when we hired him.
Yeah, his wife may write it.
Well, no, they wrote a chapter. Each wrote a chapter, and it said, I mean, imagine the balls or the penance, contrition you have to start your chapter out. The first time I cheated on my wife, that was the first line. The first time I was like, oh.
It's like, hey, this book is an act of me flogging myself to save my marriage.
My wife is awesome. I suck. Back to being a great dude.
Dude, I love him. I love knowing that my coach.
I like him.
I love knowing that my coach once upon a time fucked. I like that about him. And to me, that's a real man's man. I have something of a man crush.
I don't know if that's
James
a man.
Canales.
He is. I would say he might be a suave man.
Oh, I
John
think
Fox
he
is a
Like
man.
the-
John
And
Fox
listen,
might
by
be
the way,
physical.
like I'm excited for the day where this guy can one day have a rookie quarterback to be able to mold and build upon and grow with.
Yeah, I mean,
Or Tepper's wife.
It's nice to go from a head coach that you're pretty sure has never done anything other than missionary to a guy who's probably got some restraints in his bedroom.
In fact, you could probably say that about the last two coaches. All right. Let's take some calls, dude. The number's
Let's do it.
252-228-5098. When we get your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers and what we've been discussing tonight. Let's do it.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
C3 Nation, family, the chat. All the fools looking to get shamed because they didn't hit the thumbs up. It's your boy, Josh from Mass.
What up, Josh?
Oof, Sunday was a tough one, but, man, I'm having a real hard time being upset with you. Like, I know they're losses, and you shouldn't be happy with losses. The moral victory only goes so far, right? Great, granted. This shit's watchable. It's not awful. It's just so, it's like, they're losing, but it's to my eyeballs, this is better than last year. We're like one or two defensive plays away from being much better off. And you can see growth happening. This offense looks like, this offense exists. It's a thing. There's a Panthers offense. I know the defense has to take a step back, but within these bad things that are happening, there are good things that are happening. Like a rookie, Trevin Wallace, he's getting out there and like, yeah, it'd have been nice for him to like come along slowly, but man, that's the future center of our defense right there. And I feel like it's just not really being talked about. Like he's out there calling the D. He's doing it.
Yeah.
There's going to be some growing pains, but like there's pieces there. There's pieces there. This defense isn't that far off. You got to remember, like, well, it's doldrums now because Derek Brown's not here. We're out 7 starters on defense. In case anybody's wondering, there's only 11 people on one side of the ball. You got 4 starters playing, and that's it. It's gonna be rough. But this challenging time can work in the end. It can work around in the end. You can see what you really got. And for a team that has pretty mediocre depth at best, if not bad depth, opportunities like this to see what's going on, to see how these guys are coming along. It's heartening. Same goes on the offense. Like Jalen Coker, was pumped when we snagged him because Holy Cross is in Massachusetts in a city called Worcester, like 25 minutes from where I live. So like to see something that's kind of like close to me, go down and become part of the Panthers and become a bright spot has been nice. Hopefully they find ways to keep him involved when Adam Thielen comes back. I think him, Thielen, and Diontae Johnson is like, and you got Leggett too, and everybody's like, those 2 guys are going to be gone. I'm like, yeah, well, Leggett's making it look like that might not be the biggest deal in the world. The same with Coker. I'm out of time. It's your boy Josh from Mass. Hit that thumbs up, hit the bell, like, share, and subscribe, and have a blessed day. Keep pounding. You got to keep pounding. Can't stop pounding.
Keep pounding. Appreciate you, Josh. CK, yeah, I'm already in a very short amount of time way higher on Jalen Coker than I've ever been on a Jonathan Mingo. And again, we talked about him a little before the season, how, he was an undrafted free agent guy with a lot of potential. And normally free agent guys don't really click for the Carolina Panthers. And it is cool.
Yeah, I mean, the undrafted free agents pretty much everywhere, are ultimately camp bodies, right? And that's really what Jalen Coker was at first, being the fact that he was put on the practice squad. But I mean, I hate to say it, but he's done more in the short time that he's been on this team than I've seen. Like, I didn't see Mingo at all. I don't even know if I saw him out on the field.
No, I really don't. I don't think so either. I mean, listen, there have been a couple bright spots on this Carolina Panthers team. I think Chuba Hubbard is undeniably one of them. So I had the Brian Baldinger clip. Brian Baldinger continues to do clips of the Panthers O-line. So shout out to Brian Baldinger for giving the O-line some love and giving Chuba Hubbard some love.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are guys on this team that are starting to be a bright spot amongst just a shit roster in general, right? So we already talked about Trevin Wallace. Josh mentioned him. He's looking really good, and like he's looking like someone that's going to be a stalwart member of our front seven for a long time to come. And listen, you have those two guards that are in the middle just doing work, being monsters, pushing people out the way. There are some good things on this team. And the fact that we have Jalen Coker finally starting to show a sign of life, and he was undrafted, like those are some things that we can hang our hat on for the future. And we don't have too many of those, All
right, let's go to Panther Pickle.
Hey, folks. This is Panther Pickle. Real quick. I think people are misjudging Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is not a quarterback that can pass the ball a whole lot in a game and win on a consistent, regular basis.
Not anymore.
His age catches up with him. Just variable things. So he needs a run first offense. And Dave Canales, contrary to what he says, he's not a run first offense. He tries to be a balanced, leaning more toward passing than running. That's not the style that's going to be successful for Andy Dalton. I'm not certain there's a quarterback that's going to be available in free agency that can fit that realm. They wouldn't be available. Number two, contrary to popular belief, I think Bryce Young, I think there's more to the reason behind Bryce than we fans know about. I don't think Bryce Young loves the game of football. I think Dave Canales knows that Bryce doesn't like the game as much as he did. I think that Bryce is not committed to being a franchise quarterback, and I think that Dave Canales knows that, and that's why he's not pushing for Bryce to play. All that being said, that is purely speculation on my part. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. I mean, that's been a part of the conversation that we've been having, Andy Dalton, what type of quarterback is he? Is he a short-term fix? How long do we continue to roll with him now that the spark has seemingly died out on this team right now? But again, I wouldn't say that it's died out because of Andy Dalton.
No.
Yeah, he threw a really dumb interception, and he admitted that he should have checked the ball down. But again, I am still at the point where I feel like Andy Dalton gives us the best chance to win. And I still feel like some of the throws that we see him make, I don't yet know if Bryce Young has those in his arsenal. So, I think that's a great point. We're not trying to lose track of who Andy Dalton is, but I think we're just continuing to have the conversation of who needs to be under center to give the Panthers the best opportunity, not only to win football games, but for the future of your team as well.
Yeah,
and that's kind of all floating in the air right now.
The main point to me that has kept me from wanting that, like, hey, let's just work Bryce out and see what you can get out of him,
right,
is the potential negation or the lack of development you have for players such as Xavier Legette. I would say Jonathan Mingo, but that train's gone.
Why? Don't waste your breath.
There's no Mingo bingo here anymore. We got to get
we're over it.
No,
Lego Legette or something. I don't know. We have to come up with some game for that. So
more like Mingo Disco. More like Mingo Disco because he's a thing of the past. You know what I'm saying?
We should play Mingo Sorry. Sorry. Sorry
Yeah.
by Mingo, by Mattel. Instead of sorry made by Mattel. I don't know if it is made by Mattel. Sorry made by Mingo. Let's do another call real quick.
Yeah.
CK, Tony Dunn, Cody Lack.
What's up?
What up, fellas? It's the Hope Dilla. Chiming in real quick. Hey,
Dilla.
man, I need to vent real quick.
Go ahead, bro.
I see these Panther fans, some of them, man, and I love C3 Nation. You know I love y'all. But man, I'm seeing these Panther fans blaming the last loss. Some of them on Andy Dalton. Some of the Panthers fans are blaming it on Andy Dalton. Did y'all watch the same game that I watched? As if putting Bryce Young in that situation could do any better? Come on, man. Come on. Like, the defense, at this point, it don't matter who's at quarterback. The defense is terrible. And some of these Panthers fans got the audacity to blame Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton, he threw for 2 touchdowns. I saw some fans trolling saying, oh, well, if he wouldn't have thrown that last pick,
we still would have lost.
I mean, what offense, fellas, I got a question. What offense should have to play a perfect game?
Oh, right.
Just to get a chance to win. A perfect game. Like, it ain't no such thing. Like, the defense is so bad, and I just don't understand some of these fans already, the same ones. Yay, Andy Dalton. Yay, Andy Dalton. When he got put in after Bryce Young. I mean, now they blaming him for the losses? Are you serious? Do you see the same defense I see? Man, come on, man. I'm freaking hot right now. I'm sorry. It's the Hope Dilla, man. Just, hey, man, I hope y'all address this, please.
Dave Canales, I think, addressed this in his press conference a little bit. He said this: for all of us, definitely hard when we get in those situations in a 1-score game.
Right.
And we've just got to finish. There's nothing else to say about it other than that, just finishing our terms and be able to punch that in and get a 2-point opportunity there and turn it into a game. What we're negating to say is this: if there's any time left on the clock,
right,
tying it up does nothing. I mean, if there's 2 minutes left on the, what was it? It was, wasn't it just 2 weeks ago or something? It was like within a minute and 47 seconds, the Panther, this destroy. I don't know what it was, but that's the thing is this team, the defense is so bad that playing from behind is impossible.
Yeah. It really is impossible. So you need to have your offense be as explosive as possible, or we're going back to those, week 1 and 2 where we're talking about 13 points in between 2 games.
Well, when you look at what we have as a team, like even when you look at our defense, when teams run against us, they run at will, right? But our greatest strength has been our secondary, all season long. And so when you look at what has won the game, like when we've gotten 3 and outs, it's because we've been in 3 and long situations, and our cornerbacks have held up, in large part, even in those moments. So yeah, I mean, it's you're talking about a completely different situation that when you're playing from behind, our defense has no ability to stop anything.
No. So that's why, to me, it's really important that we get this quarterback situation right, because we do have an obligation to not only the Panthers' future, but the Panthers' present. And that's what I named this show around tonight. Because listen, this is the biggest conversation that surrounds the Carolina Panthers, right? So this was today on Sports Illustrated. An ESPN analyst wants to know why Panthers are not playing Bryce Young. Former NFL quarterback Dan Orlovsky doesn't understand why Carolina won't let Young develop. And I figured that this would be a good conversation for us to have. He went on Twitter and said, someone tell me why Bryce Young isn't playing. Not anything on Dalton, but you're 1-5. The season is over. Play him and develop him. What the heck are we doing? Yeah. Benjamin Watson replied to him and says, keeping him healthy for trade value. And then Dan Orlovsky comes back and says, trade him yesterday then. And I
for
guess
what?
Yeah,
for what?
that's really what we're talking about. Yeah, I mean that's really what we're talking about. And the writer of this article goes on to say the problem with that thinking is that it's about short-term results, which is unfortunately what practically every NFL team and publicly traded company is focused on, especially those that come from David Tepper's area of expertise. Whereas the financial industry is only ever thinking about the next quarterly statement, NFL teams are always trying to get through the next week with a win. All due respect to Mr. Tepper and all of his money, but that kind of approach isn't going to work for this team, not the way it's constructed right now. The Panthers aren't going to win games no matter who is starting for them right now. Therefore, they have more to gain by letting Bryce Young take his lumps and lose his ass off as long as he's learning from it and growing somehow. He isn't going to do any of that standing on the sidelines, functioning as nothing more than Andy Dalton's biggest cheerleader.
Oh, crap. That actually might be the best way for him to develop right now. And on top of that is, look, I'm okay to have this conversation, guys, but I don't think we should have this conversation until week 10.
Okay, why?
Because at least you get 10 games, 9 games where you got Dalton helping these receivers go at it. Like, why would you give 14 games or 12 games to Bryce Young's development alone? Let him start the last 7 games then if you're 1-9. Like, there's a point where I'm going to be okay with this. I think it's too early. And imagine, I would say, I mean, if you want to really break Bryce Young, why don't we put him in right now and the whole offense slow down and the defense continue to stink completely, and we just all then go, Bryce Young is garbage.
CK, what say you, man?
I think that the idea, number one, the idea of playing Bryce right now is, it's I understand the thought. Like initially, it's a thought that on its surface makes sense, but when you really start to dive into it, it makes sense on an individual level, right? But when you start to dive into the development of Xavier Legette, the development of Jalen Coker, now if you wanted to go that route, you're talking about Jonathan Brooks coming in. You're talking about an offensive line that needs to understand that what plays are being called, and have a guy who is going to be able to read a defense pre-snap, make the changes, and have their entire offense be confident that they know what they're talking about, right? You're talking about the nuances that are going to allow the people that are getting experience now that weren't in the first 3 games of the season. And so Bryce being put in there and as over top of Andy Dalton might be good for the short term for Bryce to develop, but it's going to be bad in the long term for the majority of the team. And here's the other thing we're not talking about. Like, yes, this defense is giving up points like nobody's business. Could you imagine if Bryce Young was still the quarterback, though? How many more points our defense would have given up?
Yeah, because you're not having any drives.
Right.
And CK, I would add one more person to that list is Aquanu.
Yeah.
Because while we can talk about him being a weak link in some cases, Aquanu, in many ways, to me, is having one of his better seasons because I'm just not remembering him just being beaten like a drum all the time.
Right.
And I think running the ball so much has definitely helped his performance.
Sure. But like putting him in a position where the quarterback, KG, my boy said, running around 5 to 7 seconds trying to throw the ball, that's not helping Aquanu's development. At least Dalton's dropping back and chunking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, CK hit the nail on the head with that. When you're considering the development of some of the younger players, I think you have to take that into consideration. You're finally seeing development from Xavier Legette, who continues to look great. He looks like that red zone threat that we want him to be. Diontae Johnson has continued to look very good as a number 1 wide receiver, and we're getting ready to talk about him more in a minute. I had a poll up this entire time, Tony. Who should the quarterback be for the Panthers going forward? I just ended it, and with 118 votes, 73% say Andy Dalton gives us a chance versus 26, who says Bryce Young needs another chance. So the overwhelming majority of this over here amongst C3 Nation is that right now Andy Dalton gives the Carolina Panthers the best chance to be competitive. And right now at this point in the season, everybody still wants to be competitive instead of knowing that we're tanking for the best draft pick possible.
KG73's on fire. He says we've given up 30 plus in the last 3 straight games. Would have been 50 plus with Bryce out there going 3 and out, throwing picks. Now, I mean, like that's also assuming that Bryce is going to be bad, but we saw him in the first 2 games, and that's what happened with the Carolina Panthers. They gave up 70 in 2 games.
There was no redeeming factors of Bryce Young's first games of the season. Like there was nothing. You can't point to anything that took place. Like it was so bad that in less than 24 hours, Dave Canales went from he is the starter, he is our guy moving forward to Andy Dalton gives us the best chance to win. Like in less than 24 hours, because it's easy to kind of jump to a conclusion before watching the film and making the assumptions, like many fans do, myself included in a lot of ways, that everybody failed and that everybody was equally responsible for as bad as we looked on offense. And then when you go to look at the tape probably tells a different story. And it took him 1 session of looking at the tape to make that choice.
Well, and the fact that they benched the number 1 overall pick after 2 games. I mean, that right there alone is like, hey, I mean, these guys, they're like, man, we got to put a tourniquet on this. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's go to the next call.
Yo, what's going on, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday. Just thought I'd call in and give my thoughts for this upcoming week. Last week was tough. I think it's all obvious. It's pretty obvious to everyone at this point that we just can't win games with this defense. It's historically bad. Very honestly disappointed in what's happened this season. But there are hopefully some things to look forward to, in that maybe we could squeak out a win here and there. I don't know. I just hope this team doesn't lay an egg next Sunday on my birthday, and have to force me to turn the TV off. Quickly on this trade talks. I mean, we see wide receivers getting traded. Devontae Adams, like I said, just wanted to go play with Aaron Rodgers. It's that simple. Amari Cooper to the Bills. It's a good move for them for sure. If you trade Diontae Johnson, you're basically saying that we're tanking, because
great
the wide receiver room of Leggett, Mingo, and Coker is very bad. But I mean, if they decide to trade him, they decide to trade him. Whatever. I see some people in our chat throughout. Let's trade for Myles Garrett. Y'all, it's time to be realistic, man. Like, this team is 1-5. We're not going to make a move like that.
No.
I hope we can keep it close this week.
Who thought that?
Commanders, but I do have Jaden Daniels in fantasy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off. Actually, he will
surprised. He's going to have 100 on the ground and 200 in the air.
It's tough being a fan right now. I want to see if you guys can give me some sort of optimism. Really. I feel like it's been a hard year for Canales. The hand he was dealt, the situation he's in. I just hope he makes it through it, man. I hope he gets through it, man. Like, I really do. And I mean, nothing really else to say. This is the team we have. We're just gonna have to deal with it. There's really no move you can make right now that's just gonna make this team better. I mean, yeah, even if you throw Bryce Young out there, we'll probably lose by even more points. So it's just kind of like whatever. Tepper's built this situation for himself, so we're just gonna have to live with it, I guess. Anthony from Charlotte, give me your thoughts. Keep motherfucking pounding.
Keep pounding, Anthony. Listen, I don't know how much optimism we can give you, but Anthony, you damn sure gave us a great segue into something that we had on the show tonight anyway, and that's something that Panthers Nation has been talking about. There are many rumors floating around about the availability of one Diontae Johnson being traded to some different teams here. From one of these articles, it says balancing the need to accomplish something on the field against the need to plan for the future seems like one of the more difficult aspects of dragging a cellar-dwelling franchise to respectability. That said, the Panthers and general manager Dan Morgan should be considering all options at this point in their timeline. They shouldn't just give Johnson away, but a current contender in need of wide receiver help might come calling with an offer that they can't turn down. So again, for some context here, like Anthony mentioned earlier today, you had Davante Adams being traded to the New York Jets. He is now reuniting with Aaron Rodgers to give that team something of a boost. And then the team that beat them last night, the Buffalo Bills, they went out and got Amari Cooper, who has been such an underrated wide receiver in the NFL. He's a true number one. I think that's going to be a great move for him. And so a lot of people are saying, well, some of these better teams in the AFC are looking to add wide receiver pieces right now. Well, why wouldn't the Kansas City Chiefs? And there has been a lot of rumors that the Kansas City Chiefs, Tony, would be very interested in one Diontae Johnson. The writer of this article says, it's a testament to Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, and a strong defense that the Chiefs are still 5-0, despite a number of injuries to their offensive skill positions. They go on talking about Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco not being on the team. That's where you enter in Diontae Johnson. Kansas City has a speedster who can beat defenders deep with rookie Xavier Worthy, while Kelce remains as Mahomes' safety valve over the middle of the field. What it needs is a polished route runner who can capitalize on the openings created by the additional attention Kelce and Worthy receive. Johnson fits the bill as someone who can beat defenders deep or in space while adding another dimension to the offense. Even while playing on a struggling Carolina Panthers, Johnson still has 29 catches for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns through 6 games and could be a significant red zone threat for Mahomes. As for the Panthers, any draft pick compensation could help in what is shaping up to be a long rebuilding process. So my question is, knowing how many problems we have right now, knowing that you're going to have to pay Diontae Johnson very soon, what do you do here? Do you try and move on from Johnson and get as many draft picks as possible for a roster that needs as many positions as possible? Or do you make him a part of your long-term plans? Boys, what say you?
I think, and hopefully I've been consistent on this, is that the answer is that you either sign or trade him. So you making an effort right now to extend him, and if you can't agree, if he doesn't want to be here, or you can't reach a number that you can afford, then it's time to trade him. Interestingly, we could trade him to the Commanders for Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin. How about that? Or I want to bring this back up. I don't know if trading for Myles Garrett is that bananas.
Yeah, it is.
No, I don't think so.
If you
got to repair the whole defense right away. You go and get a player that's got 2 or 3 more years of good football on them.
Yeah, but you're still.
And then you can build draft picks around him. You got Derek Brown, Myles Garrett.
Yeah, but what if he says, I'm not going to Carolina?
Well, I mean, like,
I'm not going to the Browns.
You know what is? I hate the Browns. I mean, the Browns are so much better. Let's go to. Come on. No, I mean, I'm just saying. Look, is Myles Garrett on this team? Myles Garrett on this team next year, though, would give them a fighting chance to repair the defense faster. You know, drafting rookies and stuff like that is still a long road to hoe. I'm actually not opposed entirely to that idea. But yeah, I think the answer for Diontae Johnson specifically is you aggressively try to sign him in the next 2 weeks because you got 2 weeks before the trade deadline. And if not, you aggressively try to trade him.
But if you had
that's sad. That's sad because he's awesome.
If you had to pick one or the other, and again, what's obvious is he has been the best wide receiver on the team this year. This is Dalton's number one wide receiver. But it also factors into the other question. Do you develop Bryce? And if you're going to do that, do you get rid of Diontae Johnson to develop him? Like now that just seems
you Josh Rosen that motherfucker and just destroy him.
So counterintuitive. But if you had to pick one, and I'll pose this to both of you, would you prefer to pay him and make him our number one wide receiver? I believe I saw something that would be like a Spot Track is putting him at around
$22 million.
Yeah, I know. I saw 30-something million for 3 years.
Okay, he's expensive.
So, and I put up a poll in the chat. Everyone can participate in. Should the Carolina Panthers seek to trade Diontae Johnson? Yes, get something for him, or no, pay him to be our number one. If you had to pick between those two, move on from him or pay him right now, what would you prefer to do?
C3 Anthony says, Tony's talking to me. He says he's not signing an extension until free agency. If that's the case, we're not going to be able to afford him then. So if you can't get him right now before the trade deadline, you're not going to be able to afford him later on.
I would say pay him now.
Yeah.
I'm tired of if we're going to constantly be in this back and forth if we don't maintain a level of something with our offense, right? If our offense can maintain the level and only get better, hopefully, then you're not going to do that by trading away our first weapons and having DJ Moore go. That's just not. Yeah, I think you're asking for, especially if you're going to be going with another quarterback next year that's not going to be Bryce, if you are going with the rookie quarterback, or if you're going with a veteran quarterback that might be hitting free agency next year, right? No matter who you grab in the offseason, they're going to want to have Diontae Johnson as a wide receiver that is a reliable target that can get separation. So I say pay that guy. Even if you tried to trade him, your only value you're getting is a third or a fourth rounder. You're not going to get a second or a first rounder.
Well, but hold on, though. If Kansas City, so let's say, so I also didn't add, there was a fan insider, quote unquote, who was saying that it's a done deal, that the Chiefs are going to get Diontae Johnson. But my question is, what form of compensation is too much for us to say no? So again, they're probably going to be in the Super Bowl again. So it'll probably be late in whatever round that we would be receiving. But if the Kansas City Chiefs said, here's our second round pick for Diontae Johnson.
Yes.
Don't you have to?
It might be that might be the 64th pick.
Right, but we already have a second round pick next year. Now that gives you another second round pick.
No, double up and move into the first.
Yeah, man. And it's like, dude, nobody wants him to leave. I think we're all a fan of his talent. Right now, most of the poll says pay him and make him our number one wide receiver.
Yeah, but that's easy. That's given the fact that he would sign with us, number one, and number two, that you're going to be able to afford it. But if you go to your what's his name? Gil Brandt. And he says, look, the odds are we're not going to be able to afford this guy in the offseason. That's what I'm saying. I'm with CK. Is sign him now, or trade him. And again, Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin, straight up.
Yeah, I don't think they would do it.
They could use him with the Commanders, him and McLaurin together.
We always do this though, where we're talking about, do we do the full tank? We never ever commit to.
We're kind of doing it.
I should say the full rebuild, right? Because it's like the Panthers, we always say, "Oh, we're retooling, we're readjusting," but we're not rebuilding. Well, now it's like, yeah, the fuck we are, especially if the quarterback that you just traded up for isn't going to be your quarterback of the future. Yeah, man. And listen, we don't know where we're going to be picking. You know, a lot of fans are saying don't draft a quarterback. But if you're picking number 1 and, Shedeur Sanders doesn't mind coming to Carolina, now we're having all
That
types of
bug
different
is not coming to
conversations.
Carolina. Dion will not let that
No,
happen.
but look, there was a report today that says Shedeur is not going to tell a team no. That he's not going to pull an Eli Manning.
I thought that was Travis Hunter.
Was that Travis Hunter?
I think that's. I could be wrong, but I think that was Travis Hunter.
Well, you might have been true, but I mean, hey, listen, if whoever is going to come here, be it a quarterback or a player like Travis Hunter, having as many picks as possible to be able to hit on some of those players, yeah, that's going to be an asset to have. So, yeah, at that point, why would you not try and grab as much draft capital as possible? That was Travis Hunter.
And let's just remember what happened with Brian Burns. You know what happened with Brian Burns, and I don't want to get too much into the 2 first-round draft picks because that makes it sound so awesome. But the fact is this: you didn't get anything from Brian Burns, and you didn't sign him. So if you're not going to sign him, at least get something. And I know that's going to handicap this offense like crazy because he is. But that's the point. Is guess what? This year that's the entire point. Handicapping this year's offense is worth having a shot next year or 2 years from now from at least having some talent.
Yeah, I like what
Retain him or trade him.
I like what Harvey London says too, right? Like, let's say we do have the number 1 pick, and so it was Travis Hunter that said he wouldn't tell the team no. But let's say Shedeur is the consensus number 1 and doesn't want to go to Carolina, then the Panthers potentially could do that, where they could trade down if somebody wanted to go up and grab that quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's what the Bears did, and that would be a dream scenario for Carolina, given the amount of things that we need at this point in time. So there's a lot left to happen. So many things that still need to play out in both professional and college ball. But yeah, man, that's the good thing about being bad and having a lot of draft picks is your options become plentiful for the future. So.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, this is Lane again from the lovely state of Alabama. I wasn't on a post game because I had some guests over. A good old college buddy of mine, a guy I deployed with back in the day with the Army. Had the game on in the background, and I'm glad I only had it in the background. I wasn't devoting time to watch it. It was a painful experience. Yet again, our defense has shown that gutting the defense, support Bryce, was not the best idea for Morgan. I understand why he did it. It just went awry real quick, especially with injury. It is what it is. So I've been watching the post-game show, and I do believe it's correct. Biggest thing I want us to do the next 2 years is not give up draft picks for unknown assets or for assets that everyone can use like exclamation progress. No, projects. Because we're wasting picks. If we would have had all the picks we got from the Sam Darnold trade, the Bryce Young trade, I forget who else we traded for that we spent picks on, that we would have enough players on the roster to probably fix these holes. Instead, we're having to be creative in the draft to get more picks. I know it's early to talk about the draft, but this season is dead. Beyond dead. Stick a fork in it, put a taxidermist sign on it. Taxidermist needed. We are deader than anything else. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I do think going after journeyman quarterback, I'm okay with, because I think we need to first go fix the defensive end, defensive line, and linebacker. If we have I don't know the linebacker class this year that much. I haven't been paying attention, but I think we do need a linebacker pass. I miss Luke Kuechly, and hopefully he gets to the Hall of Fame this year. That'd be awesome. They had the first, besides Julius Peppers, but the first 100% pure Panther to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll let you guys go. But let's hear what you guys think, and keep pounding. Hopefully I can watch you guys live tonight.
Keep pounding. Appreciate you, man.
Just be 327 Washington Commander fan who we will be getting smoked by Jaden Daniels.
Oh, dude.
He said
it might be historical.
I know he's going to be off. He's going to get first he's going to get offensive rookie of the year anyway, but
He might win MVP, dude.
like in this one game.
I think he's the first. He would be the first rookie MVP since like, what was it? What was the Jim Brown? I think. No, it was some very famous running back.
Oh,
I forget who, but it's been like forever since that's ever happened. But yeah, they're gonna break records against us.
He said, speaking from experience, it starts from the top. Your owner's the problem. Shit rolls downhill. We got the same comment from a Lions fan. You know, like a few until the ownership changed and then the lady got involved.
Just let things get collectively more shit until someone forces David Tepper to sell.
Or until he just is like, I hate this game. I want to sell to Tom Brady.
My sincere hope is that he just wants to win so fucking bad that he just continues to adjust and adjust and adjust until he figures out a way to get this right, man. And I think a lot of our hope right now rests in Dan Morgan, because we have to, if we're ever going to be anything, this next draft is probably one of the most important drafts in the history of the Carolina Panthers. Straight up.
God. All right, let's go back to the calls. The number's 252-228-5098.
What up, boys? It's Nick from Seattle. Good evening, Tony Dunn, my man. Good evening, CK. Good evening, Cody. Let's just get into the bullshit because we know what the mess is about. What's up with the defense, boys? Is it a scheme or is it a talent issue? Now, we all know it's a talent issue. The roster's just bad. When your best player goes down in Derek Brown, your best linebacker goes down in Shaq, and then JC is balling. He's playing really well, but he's a corner. He can't win games alone. I'm personally thinking it's a scheme mess. David Tepper always wanted to bring that Pittsburgh Steelers 3-4 to Carolina. I think it's a philosophy thing. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, boys, and if anybody in the chat knows, help me out here. Has there ever been a time a team had a successful defense running a 4-3 scheme, then switched up to a 3-4, and was able to see that same success? I mean, y'all remember what it looked like in 2019 when we switched to 3-4 under Ron. Luke was still here. Cam was still here. Thomas Davis was still here. And we couldn't stop the run to save our lives. Like, we couldn't have hit water if we fell out of a boat that season, boys.
Yeah.
I think it's just a scheme thing. Like, I don't want to see any more of this 3-4. We don't have the personnel for it. We never have, and it's been kicking us in the ass. I mean, when was the last time where we could stand on our defense and be like, yeah, they really got after it today, boys. Like, they were stopping the run. They were mean against the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's been some time, and I'd love to see that. I mean, I think I think the smart of us know that we should draft a defensive lineman, an edge rusher specifically. Shit, we should draft 2 of them. But it's got to be a scheme thing. I mean, let me know what you folks think about it. Is it a scheme mess? Is it a talent issue? Because, I mean, Dave Canales has got the team playing hard. I mean, the defense just looks lost every week. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to keep watching because that's what we do. And then I'm going to get with you boys to chat about it and hopefully make us all not want to kill ourselves thinking about this terrible football team. I love y'all. Love the podcast. Keep pounding, brothers. Let me know what you think.
Great call. I think it's talent issue supplemented by scheme, you know, and that is like you don't have the talent for your scheme, but you don't have the talent for any scheme.
Right.
So, interesting comment in the chat from go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say I'm done with the 3-4.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I know that we don't have the best personnel. I understand that there are many better teams who run a 3-4 and who actually do it successfully. I know that we are not one of them, and I'm tired of trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I just feel like it doesn't. It's not us. It doesn't feel like us.
You know what I think it is? I think a 3-4 is only going to be successful if you have a superstar at the outside linebacker position. Like when you look at the most successful 3-4s, it's been when Von Miller or TJ Watt or I could be wrong, but those are the ones that come to mind as the most prominent 3-4 defenses that have dominated us in the years past. I don't know.
I agree. No, I mean, you have to have that guy that is a game wrecker. Let's talk about this comment because we're going to be facing the Washington Commanders. Bears fan in the house said, how is Jaden Daniels going to be offensive rookie of the year when he only has 4 passing touchdowns and Caleb Williams had 4 passing touchdowns in the last game? Well, I would say this is
but peep the amount of passing yards and rushing yards.
No, that was just touchdowns only. Yeah, that was touchdowns only. Jaden Daniels has a 75% completion rate. Caleb Williams has a 65% completion rate. Jaden Daniels is 1,404 passing yards and 6 touchdowns. Caleb Williams has now here. Can we also say this is that Caleb Williams has had the luxury of playing the Carolina Panthers. So you want to even these numbers. These numbers are about to get real even on Sunday.
The Panthers and the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Almost have a defense as bad as ours.
I think I think something like what his 4th down and 3rd down completion rate is insane when it comes to Jaden Daniels.
His completion rate in general is outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, he's throwing 75%. He had a 91% completion percentage against Cincinnati. He had an 87% completion percentage against Arizona. He had a 79% completion. I mean, but then here you go. This is that my man has 3 rushing touchdowns. He does have 3 fumbles. Is that right? That's crazy.
Daniels or Williams?
I think Daniels does. Where does it say his total rushing yards? Passing, rushing, receiving. He has 322 rushing yards so far. And how about this? Is how many he has 4 rushing touchdowns. How about that? 4 rushing touchdowns. Add that in, and then you can go down. You can look at Caleb Williams' stats. He has 169 yards on the ground and 0 rushing touchdowns. So there you got it.
It says Washington had the pleasure of playing the New York Giants. Listen, you have to play who's on your schedule.
And guess what? They're going to play the Carolina Panthers.
And congratulations. Caleb Williams played the Panthers and the Jaguars before he had his great performances.
Also, let's not pretend that Jaden Williams didn't just go up against a great Ravens team and still look like he was meant to be there.
Like he belonged.
Yeah.
Like we can't. You can pretend that, but Caleb Williams went up against the worst defense in the league, historically the worst defense in the league, and the Carolina Panthers. Like it took him going up against the worst defense in the league for him to look like he could play in the NFL. Like, I'm not willing to put that money on in the bank saying that Caleb Williams has proven anything yet, when his only games have been against Jaguars and the Panthers.
And I do think and kind of push back Illinois Jones is he had the luxury of playing the Giants, but the Giants lead the league in sacks, or they did before this past week. And this is a Panthers podcast, and the joke was he had the luxury of playing the Carolina Panthers. It's like that was a self-deprecating moment right there.
As Just Be 327 says, Jaden Daniels has 10 total touchdowns, and I agree. I think he's been the better of the 2 quarterbacks thus far. He was my number 1 quarterback in last year's class.
Yeah.
So if we would have been picking number 1, I would have been stumping for Jaden Daniels.
They are both good. So Eddie says it's okay to say they're both good. But how about this? Is Caleb Williams it wasn't until the Panthers game that he really started to step forward. Maybe the week before. Jaden Daniels has been good and made that team relevant from the very beginning. In fact, can we pull up his from the Know Your Foe article? We've got a little commentary on Jaden Daniels and just what he's done so far.
Also, let's not forget that Caleb Williams has Keenan Allen, has DJ Moore, has the new guy.
The new guy,
Dunze.
and a dominant defense. Yeah. Wow,
the Bears legit have one of the scariest defenses in the NFL right now.
Yeah. They even wrecked shop against our vaunted offensive line, which is the only thing we got. This is from Panthers.com. The Rambling Rookie, Jaden Daniels, the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft, has lit up the stat sheet, the record board, and the scoreboard since it's starting in his NFL career just a few short weeks ago. He leads all passers in the league, all passers, with a 75.3 completion percentage. And he has the 5th highest quarterback rating at 107.1. The LSU product is averaging 8.5 yards per attempt and has tossed 6 touchdowns through the air to only 2 interceptions. Ooh, how many interceptions does Caleb Williams have?
Illinois Jones, huh?
5. He's got 5 interceptions. He completed 32 of his 51 pass attempts of plus 10 air yards this season, according to Next Gen Stats, recording 652 yards, 4 touchdowns, and interception. The dude isn't just throwing a lot of high percentage. He's throwing down the field.
Yeah.
Daniels, they go on to say on Panthers.com, isn't afraid to escape the pocket. He has the 5th most pass completions out of the scramble drill, going 8 for 10 for 128 yards. Washington likes to keep things in front of their rookie quarterback. He's lined up in shotgun 80% of his plays thus far, throwing 151 times, completing 113 passes for 1,284 yards, and handed the ball off for a rush 117 times for 568. So they're pass heavy. Despite all of Daniel's ability to be a dangerous downfield passer, a defense can't forget his ability to run. The Heisman winner has the 2nd most rushing yards of all quarterbacks this season, trailing only Lamar Jackson through the first 6 weeks. Daniel has rushed the ball 63 times for 322 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. He right now is the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I don't see him losing the lead anytime.
Well, also look at it this way. Look at what C.J. Stroud did last year and shattering every rookie NFL quarterback record. And then now here comes Jaden Daniels. Again, a number
Cam
2,
numbers.
A number 2 overall pick. And then here he comes and he's just smashing it all to hell, man. It's crazy. The dude is an elite talent. And again, Tony, this goes back to why I always say, and listen, maybe it's a little bit ironic coming from myself, but dude, give me all the physical traits in a quarterback that you could possibly give me, okay? I want them to be able to run. I want them to be able to have that crazy deep ball. I want them to be able to read the defenses, throw to every level of the field, and be that leader off and on the field. Dude, I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous of all these teams that have gotten to reload on good quarterbacks that the Panthers would have technically had the opportunity to draft had we not traded up for Bryce Young. But this is what we're looking at, man. Our defense is at an all-time low, and now we're facing this young dynamo who's going to come in, and we're all expecting to look like fools.
I'm not going to get on board with Illinois Jones. I think that it's Jaden Daniels by a mile at this point. I want to say this is because if you want to give anything of credit for Caleb Williams, not anything, but look, is the idea is Caleb Williams started out slow and has progressed over the last couple of weeks. Jaden Daniels, for all of those awesome passing numbers and crazy stuff, he survived the first 2 games with his legs. Like the first 2 games of the season, he was a threat as a running threat. And then now all of a sudden he's become dual threat passing threat. Jaden Daniels is RG3, but more like Lamar. You know, and I would say is Illinois Jones, and thank you for being part of the show, Illinois Jones. This was a great conversation. that you helped us go through. So just teasing back a little bit. His Bears defense will hurt Daniels. Well, the Ravens defense didn't hurt Daniels, and they're pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
they're like
one
of the top defenses in the league too.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I'm definitely not predicting the Panthers to win. You know what I mean? Like,
Caleb Williams is improving over the time, right? But Caleb Williams got his like spark against the Panthers. Jaden Daniels is about to solidify his Rookie of the Year and MVP campaign.
well, I mean, listen, we're the get right team. So we are, we're that team that we're the cure for all that ails you. But I think another question is how does our secondary do against Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, who
been balling.
Years of Terry McLaurin's career in Washington.
I like this first stat right here of this.
Yeah, he had 10 different quarterbacks. Even with consistent uncertainty at the position, McLaurin was able to post 4 straight seasons of 1,000+ yards. The only year he didn't reach the mark was his rookie season when the Ohio State product finished with 919 yards. He's on pace to surpass the 1,000-yard mark again this season, already with 356 yards and 4 touchdowns, the latter of which is tied for 5th in the league. McLaurin and Daniels have found a groove in no time. The two have connected on for a 67.4 completion percentage, 11.7% over expected, and Daniels has a 114.1 rating when throwing to McLaurin, including one of the highlight plays of the entire NFL season thus far, a 27-yard touchdown pass to beat the Bengals. Daniel threw while being hit, and McLaurin had a defender draped all over him in the end zone. The pass had 10.3% completion probability. So they're balling, man. They are, you have to love it if you're a wide receiver like Terry McLaurin. And
you gotta love it if you're a Commanders fan right now.
You're in the desert for years.
Yep.
And now you're gifted a Jaden Daniels type player throwing you the ball. That has to be one of the best feelings.
Justin Long says the hate for Caleb Williams needs to be studied. I'm not hating on Caleb Williams. What I'm doing is I'm loving on Jaden Daniels here.
Yeah, I mean, I
have no hate on Caleb.
I don't hate him at all.
And the Caleb Williams, like, I think again that only stems. I think there is probably a similar level of hate for Caleb Williams that you see with many other quarterbacks that are big personalities and what have you. So I don't disagree with this statement, but our position, I think, has maintained that at a position like it's let's not put the horse before the cart type of a situation. He's had 2 decent games, and those are good games. I'm not going to even take those away from him, but he has yet to show anything against a defense that is of a high caliber. I just think the eye test is there. Jaden Daniels has just been fucking electric, dude. This guy's been all over the top. I mean, look, it's God bless Caleb Williams. I'm glad he's doing better. I'm glad for Chicago maybe getting their guy. But I mean, I don't know how you can look at this season and say that Jaden Daniels isn't by far the most rookie of the year,
electrifying rookie that we've seen. Interesting comment and a good segue from Professor Charles Xavier. He says, "Y'all think we're going to think I'm crazy, but I think we beat the Commanders," which I do think you're crazy there. He said, while the Commanders have been playing well, their defense has shown vulnerabilities. Let's go to the next slide, Cody. The Panthers, with their strong running game and improving the passing attack, have the potential to exploit these weaknesses. Washington's defense is giving up an average of 137.7 yards per game on the ground. So we can expect the Panthers to throw the ball 50 times. No, I'm just kidding. And now we'll be missing one starter for sure. They'll be missing one starter for sure, if not more, preparing to face Chuba Hubbard, who's coming off his 3rd 100+ yard game this season. He has run for 485 yards, 2 touchdowns, 86 carries, 129+ rush yards, 5th most. He's actually the 3rd most in rushing yards right now. What's wild is Derrick Henry and the guy who replaced McCaffrey are like 200 or 300 yards ahead of him. It's insane. Like Derrick Henry was even not even a big deal in week 1. And this dude, I mean, that's what happens when you peel off a 100-yard run to start a game. Derrick Henry and Lamar are putting up the most combined rushing yards between a running back and a quarterback in the history of football, I think. Pretty wild.
It's and Derrick Henry looks probably as good as he's ever looked at that position right now.
I wouldn't go that far, but he's still looking good. I mean, man, they're starting to really get the groove. Oh, and by the way, that's my guy. Who's their the Monken?
Yeah,
is the offensive coordinator for
the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, man, that guy's starting to feel like they're starting to get their rhythm together.
And dude, how about Dan Quinn? Like, I think you have to mention that success story too. He goes from being the Falcons head coach, then jumps around, went to Seattle, then goes back to Dallas, I believe. Was it Dallas he went to?
Yeah, he went to Dallas as their defensive coordinator. Yeah,
he started with Seattle as defensive coordinator, then went to Atlanta as a head coach, then to Dallas as defensive coordinator, and then I don't like this picture right here because he got his hat forward. He loves to turn the hat backwards.
No, but I mean, listen, here's another defensive head coach who's really playing well with a rookie quarterback, similar to the Houston Texans last year. So, again, I don't know if I agree with the fact that the Panthers are going to get the upset. That would be crazy. And
no, they might be able to rush the ball, but they've been able to rush the ball on a lot of people. That's not going to be enough. Though.
Yeah. Panthers Kingdom podcast with a $4.99 C3 bomb says Chuba will have a 100+ yard game. Hot take. And why don't we want to trade for anyone to help our bleeding defense? Weird.
I like the Myles Garrett. Get us Myles Garrett. Not for this year, for next year. Chuba's gonna get 100 no matter what.
Dude, he is never, ever gonna choose to go from the Browns to the Panthers. There's no way in hell that happens. Sorry, man.
I'm also, again, I think right now you have to build through the draft. We've already experienced trying to bring in is somebody who's going to be, I just don't think that we're going to be able to get a guy who's of a high, like a superstar caliber, afford to pay for the trade that's going to cost to get him on top of the contract that he is going to have. I think you've got to be able to draft these guys, and you've got to have a team like we did in, from 2011 to, or 2012 until 2017, where we didn't have a single player that was like a staple on this defense that was not homegrown.
Chuba Hubbard, 69.5, higher or lower on underdog. Let's see what Jaden Daniels.
What was his number?
I would probably still say over, right? He's been getting damn near
69.5 CK.
He's damn near
all together or just rushing?
Rushing. Jaden Daniels passing yards. Only passing yards they got. They don't got rushing yards. Higher or lower, 239.5. You know what is? I'm gonna say lower because like the Kirk Cousins effect last week, except for Jaden Daniels is mobile. I don't think they're gonna have to pass the ball a lot. I think they're just gonna run the ball all over the Panthers, like everybody else does.
Yeah.
Professor Charles Xavier says, "I'm telling you, this is a game where you can get short-term rich if you bet on the Panthers." All right. So
you know what? I thought that with the fact. Well, I didn't think. I'm not betting. How about this? As Professor Charles Xavier would love you. It does hang out in the podcast a lot. We love your comments, but I'm not trailing that bet. I'm not trailing that one. I mean, it might be a trap game. It might be. If you pick it, then it'd be crazy. And then Illinois Jones will be back in here saying, "I told you he wasn't rookie."
So listen, we're about to get to the final two slides of the night, but just a reminder, if you would like to continue to support the C3 Panthers podcast, go over to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, buy a C3 Panthers podcast t-shirt, buy that fire ass C3 Panthers podcast coffee mug so that you can start your day with your therapy and the C3 Panthers podcast. Hold that up, Tony.
It really is dope. And you know what? Christmas is going to be coming up soon. This will be a great gift for Panther fans.
Absolutely, man. So y'all
reasonable too.
Help us support the pod and continue to produce this content for y'all. CarolinaCatChronicles.com. The final little bit is just some stuff relating to the game. The betting odds has the Washington
let's hear this.
At minus 7.5. The over/under is 51.5 points.
I'm taking Washington to cover that.
Yeah.
And
over.
I don't know. Yeah, man. No, I don't know. I don't know if we're really gonna. Yeah, I guess we've had to try to put up points
with our defense. It's just so hard.
But Dom said this is that Washington may have 200-yard rushers this week, and that the Robinson is the Washington fan in here still? I'll get the info. I'm going on Rio Robinson's podcast tomorrow. We need to know about the Robinson, who has been another. I think he's a rookie too, running back who's been awesome. Hurt 2 games. If he's gonna play, you get him. Quick work. This game will go by. We'll be doing the post game at like 2:40. Just everybody's running the ball. The Panthers are running the ball. The Commanders are running the ball. The clock just runs. We'll be here. We'll see you at 3:15, guys, on Sunday. Fastest game in NFL history coming up.
So how about some of these fun facts? The Commanders have lost 3 of their last 4 games as favorites against opponents on a losing streak.
Oh, now
is that a crazy stat or what? It also says the underdogs have covered the spread in each of the Panthers' last 5 week 7 games.
The underdogs have won 4. I don't even know what that means. I thought, aren't the Panthers all the underdogs? They didn't cover last week.
The last 5 week 7 games, the underdogs covered the spread. In each of the Panthers.
The last 5 weeks. What the heck? What kind of stat is that?
In each of the Panthers' last 5 weeks, 7 games.
Whatever. I do say this, or I will say, is that Cincinnati had that stat of being 4-0 against teams with a losing record or something like that in the NFC. I don't know. I ain't trailing any bet on. You got to be a dummy to put money on the Panthers.
Just B327 is still here. He says, Brian B. Rob is day to day.
I need that mug on my fantasy team. I need him back. Healthy.
I just want to tell you, I just went and put $20 on the Panthers.
Did you?
Yeah.
What is the?
I mean, it's pays
money
out
line?
$77.
Okay. So triple.
I mean, it's like two. It's plus 240.
Okay.
Xavier with another prediction says the Panthers scored 3 touchdowns in the red zone with running plays.
Now you do. Okay.
So
maybe. I mean, look. I mean, if we're gonna score, that's the way to score.
The Panthers have lost each of their last 11 road games played on the East Coast. Dude, some of these stats are fucking embarrassing, dude. The home team has won 12 of the Commanders' last 13 week 7 games.
Oh, there's this stupid week 7 stat.
The home team has covered the spread in each of the Commanders' last 8 week 7 games. So yeah, again,
Panthers have failed to cover the spread in each of their last 7 games against teams that had a winning record.
Yeah, the person who writes this is predicting the Commanders to win. Surprise. Tony,
I might take the under and the Commanders to cover. Is kind of what I'm thinking, but we'll see. We got more calls. Yeah,
go ahead, do the call.
What they say? Put the pipe down, Professor. What did I do? What did I say?
Maybe taking the pipe
out.
Take a what?
Maybe taking the under. Put the pipe down.
Oh, the under. I think that, man, if you're running the ball the whole time, there's a chance that it could be a lower score. 51 points, right? Said 51. I mean, that means that they could beat the Panthers 38-11 and still cover under.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
20 maybe the Panthers put up points. I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to be a run. I think there's going to be look. The Falcons showed you don't got to pass against the Panthers. And the Panthers showed last week that the best thing they can do is run the ball. So I think there's the clock. Run this clock down. We'll see you at 4:15. Oh, they're saying. They said not me, Tony. I think they meant the Professor Charles Xavier. Okay.
And I'm gonna play this. This is a cat call from our boy Alex Brit Panther. Tell me if this is too low. Can you hear that?
Not at all. Oh, you got to add it to the screen.
Being a fan of the Carolina Panthers with no ties to the area.
Right, start it over. Yeah, perfect. We can hear it good.
Really is done.
Nice. Sent this on Twitter. Oh, this is a great way for international.
What's up, C3?
Yeah.
Alex C3 Brit Panther calling. Hope you're doing well wherever you listen to this. I have to be honest, being a fan of the Carolina Panthers with no ties to the area, watching a team this fucking bad every week really is starting to take its toll on us. I'm really starting to regret my life choices. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, there's no one else I could ever support. I can't see myself ever cheering for anybody else. But it is starting to get quite painful watching a team that you love get pumped week in, week out by basically anybody. We are the village bicycle at this point. Everyone fucking rides us. I just wanted to go on and come on here a little bit and say a couple of things about the defense. I honestly feel I'm a little bit sorry for Dalton and a little bit sorry for Bryce as well, to be honest. I'm starting to see now that maybe Bryce, as much of a problem as he was, maybe wasn't quite, maybe not even the biggest problem. And that, I mean, that might come as a bit of a shock to some of you, Cody. But I honestly think that this defense is the biggest problem that we have right now. I honestly don't think that if Bryce was in, that we would look that much worse than we currently are, if we would look that much worse at all, to be quite honest. And the defense that it is, every single time you hit the field, conceding points, you can't stop the run, you can't stop the fucking quarterback, you can't stop the pass, you can't make interceptions. How is that going to instill confidence into any offensive player when they know every single time they hit the field, they're going to have to fucking score points? Otherwise, they're going to be left behind because the defense is going to concede points every single time. I think you could probably count on two hands across 6 games how many 3-and-outs we've had as a team across the first 6 weeks, which is fucking shocking to say, to be quite honest. But it is what it is. Like I say, I think there's a little bit of credit to be given for the mentality of, well, we need to rush this because we need to score points. But anyway, I rambled enough. Keep pounding, C3. See you later.
Awesome. Great to call, or great. This is a cool way, actually, for international folks. So,
yeah, way better. Just send me a voice note on Twitter DM.
Perfect.
That works out.
I got to disagree with him though.
All right.
This defense would just look far more worse if Bryce Young was in there.
I don't disagree, because again, I mean, they're having to pass the ball a little bit more, and if all they had to do was run the ball, I think that this would look way worse.
Well, if you're just not moving the ball, at least we've had drives that taken up time and put some points up. Look, the Panthers were ahead in the opening of that game last week,
right,
against the Falcons. That's not how, is this defense is not good enough to be on the field all game. They're not good enough to be on the field at all.
Right.
And I think they would look even worse at this point. So I love we got a lot of British Panther fans.
We really do, man. We have a bunch of really cool Alex Kingston, Jay Cryer, long
my brother.
fan.
Jay Cryer is my brother, bro.
Yeah, Alex Brit Panther, Dexter Henderson.
Yeah.
Hey man, we've got everybody, man. We're an international podcast out here, boys.
Yeah, and I think podcasts are great for people that live outside the markets. Because, they don't get access. I mean, I guess you could go listen to WFNZ on the Odyssey app or something like that. But other than that, who's covering the Panthers? This is a easy way freeway to stick with it. And I like, too, he said, man, I hate my life decisions, but I'm not changing them. He said, I'm sticking with it. There is something about the integrity of fandom. You know, is like there's an it's like if I quit being a fan, like I'm a buster, I'm a chump, or if I my rule, because of the podcast, because football is my sport that I keep up with and stuff like this. I love hats, right? I got a hat for like every type of thing. I will not wear hats of another NFL team. But when it comes to basketball, baseball, minor league, right, other sports, I just pick my hats based on color and how they look. But I won't cheat in the NFL. Like, I won't go and be like, oh, that Rams hat is so fly, I want it. I'll do that for any other sport. Because, I mean, I love the Cubs, but I can't watch 160 games of baseball. I don't really have a basketball team.
Dude, if I'm going to have any sort of sport in my life, it has to have violence. It has to be MMA, boxing.
You need to get into hockey, bro.
Dude,
I have it's just as violent as any of these.
I know. I have my own problems with
you're missing out.
Hockey, yeah.
Missing
Hey, how
out.
about this? Xavier says you have blessings coming your way, man. He's picking up your spiritual energy and says that you have some good karma on your side, dude.
Heck yeah, I need it because.
What about me, Xavier? Is my karma shit?
Yes.
Yeah,
I've been trudging through it.
That's why I'm in a wheelchair, huh?
It's bad.
Yeah, you do have bad karma. You're in a wheelchair.
You know,
Can't use
people say
extremities.
Some people say that's called, reverse karma. They knew what you were going to be when you grew up. So
it's like, imagine how much of an asshole Cody would be if he could walk over and fight you.
I'd probably be a big old.
Yeah, he said nope. All three positive. I need the positive karma,
I like that.
bro. If you knew what my personal life was right now, I'm like, actually, man, you know what? I'm going up, bro. Each day, better day for Tony Dunn, despite the tragedy of the Carolina Panthers. Let's go to the next call.
What's up, C3? It's Tyler here. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday evening. My thoughts as far as the question is, should we build around Bryce? I don't even know if that should be. That's a horrible question. I don't know, honestly. Like, the whole situation with Andy Dalton and Bryce Young. Right now, obviously, Andy Dalton gives us a better chance to win. It's a better game to watch. He makes us more competitive. But obviously, Andy Dalton is in our future, right? And I do believe if we keep losing and we're out of contention for the division, which we're going to be based on how the defense is playing and our offense isn't equipped to score that many points and to help us win games. But you're eventually they're gonna put Bryce Young back in, whether it's around the bye week, give or take. I don't know around the timing, but if we keep losing, he will go back in and get another shot. Because I get why people say like you need to let Bryce Young play. I get both sides of it. Where yes, you want to see him play because you're hoping that there's a freaking miracle that somehow that sitting of 4, 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it is going to light a fire under his ass and he will start playing better. Don't think that'll happen. Probably isn't going to happen. But you got to try. And you want them to try. Because if they don't, that could be an excuse for him to stay next year, which I do not want to see that at all. We need to move on from him. But I get why people, and I'm on this side of the argument where I want to see Andy play because I don't believe Bryce will get it done and can't get it done.
Yeah.
I'd rather see competitive football and lose than us be competitive for 3 quarters and lose in the 4th quarter than me turn off my TV after the 2nd quarter. So you have to somehow trade him and get something and move on. It was a horrible pick. We weren't ready for a quarterback like him to come in. His confidence is shot. We didn't do him any favors from his first year, but he regressed with a better offensive line, better weapons, better coaching, better scheme, and he got worse. So he's not the guy. But Brooks, we'll see what he's got. I mean, hopefully he turns out to be a great great running back. He has great explosiveness. He's fast. He's strong. Great balance. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. But it just sucks because one of our best players is Chuba Hubbard, and it sucks to have someone that's coming back from injury that is at a position group that's very strong, right? Like I wish it was more like, hey, it was Bryce Young that was injured, and now here he comes, he's famous. So we just need better draft picks and build the team the right way.
Y'all take that.
I mean, I think that's a bit of a retread. We've been dealing with that. I mean, I think it's kind of, we all agree with that at this point. I don't really think that there's much we can add to that more than we've already done. Yeah, I think Andy Dalton being in there. Could you imagine putting Bryce back in? Okay. Putting Bryce back in, and then at the end of the year, not feeling like we have any pieces, and then we really feel like there's a full rebuild that we're undergoing. How hopeless that would feel. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, at least this way, at the end of the season, we're going to be like, okay, we have to get that fixed. You know, we have just a few more pieces to be able to get to where we need to be competitive. And right now it's building the defense. And if we were to have Bryce in there, we would feel like it's building a defense, building an offense, getting every piece on the offense figured out. Like we wouldn't feel like we'd made any progress over this past year.
Promise. Is it Promise? Because I'm not supposed to say.
I just say Promise Panda.
Yeah, he said I'm not. Yeah, Promise Panda. Yeah, Promise Panda. The chat never fails to make me feel good.
Chat is undefeated.
Undefeated. He said this. I still remember that one tweet from Tony about the Panthers season being as over as his marriage. Fucking a legend. Yeah, this season. Hey, if you can't laugh about it, here, Eddie, since you're here, and thanks, Eddie. Eddie comes to the C3 Panthers podcast frequently. I like this.
Dude, we have a couple Bears fans, like Leo Factor is one of them. Illinois. We have a few Bears fans that have been cool enough to stick around with us, man.
Funny story, Eddie, of why I'm a Cubs fan. So my family's originally from Queens and then the Long Island area. My grandfather got a job in Kinston, North Carolina. Now, Kinston, North Carolina is like actually the most dangerous city, arguably, in North Carolina now. But he came in the late 70s where there was a lot of industry there. So he got a job here. My mother's the oldest of four. She stayed in New York because she was already like 18, 19, didn't want to come to North Carolina, missed her family. All right. So she moves down here, has me, my real dad splits, don't know him, don't care about that kind of thing. I was really, really tight. I'm Italian. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the first grandchild, the boy, the golden child of an Italian family, the grandchild. I'm named after my grandfather, Anthony Joseph Pansini, Anthony Joseph. So I was real tight. You know, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents when I was young. And all I remember as a kid, not all I remember a ton of hanging out with my pops, but we watched the Cubs all the time. He pop popcorn. We sit on the floor watching the Cubs. Now, it's probably 1986. If even that, you know, so I mean, I'm coming up, you know, you're getting Ryan Sandberg. And you get Mark Grace, you got Sean Dunston, Andre. So I was sitting here growing up my whole life thinking my grandfather is a damn Cubs fan. He passed away when I was a teenager. And now that I'm older and reflecting on it, I don't think he liked the Cubs at all. I think he was just a New Yorker who loved baseball, and he got WGN. So I'm a Cubs fan. In the idea that I thought my grandfather, you know, I mean, it's just a memorable moment. So that's why I'm a Cubs fan. My grandfather was probably a Yankees fan. I didn't even know it. All right. You want to go to another call? We got only 3 more.
Yeah, we have no more slides. So
all right. Yeah, we just got to ice some fools, make our picks and ice some fools up, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's bust through these calls.
Hey guys, it's the girl that makes them howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther again, because I knew I was going to get cut off, and there was something else I really wanted to say.
Did I miss his first call?
In all our losses. Oh, and by the way,
did we haven't heard him yet, have we? I skipped his first call. All right.
hey guys, it's the girl that makes them howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther. I didn't really even get to listen to the post game because I was actually at the game, and
Hanging out with
it
a
took a
bunch
while
of
to get
hot
home.
chicks.
But but at that game, it was mild. It was very entertaining, but it was also very infuriating. It was entertaining because we stuck around for like 90% of that game until the fourth quarter when Andy Dalton threw that weird, shitty-ass interception that he shouldn't have thrown. But it was infuriating because our defense is atrocious, doesn't even begin to describe it.
Could we say
come on now.
unwatchable, Joey?
Even I'm saying that, and I didn't even see it. I mean,
yes.
The Falcons
I
were
did not love
just
Joey.
gashing us play after play after play after play. They did whatever they wanted, and we didn't get anywhere near Kirk Cousins. Okay, like it was downright embarrassing, and I know Evero is like. Is it? I mean, I know that Cody thinks it's his fault, and he hasn't been good since he's been here as a defensive coordinator. But we're riddled with injuries. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I have a conspiracy theory that no one showed up to play on defense because they didn't want to be the player that gets injured and lost. Like, I was concerned about Trevin Wallace last week. I was like, oh shit, we're going to lose him next week because he had a good game today. But do you guys think that, because I think the problem is the 3-4 defense, but do you guys think that if Evero was fired, we'd go back to a 4-3? Or do you think David Tepper and, with his Pittsburgh Steelers, lineage would still demand a 3-4? And if he's going to do that, do you think we should give Evero another year? Anyway, guys. Wow.
Go ahead.
Well, for our favorite part of the call was when he said that this defense was unwatchable, and he was glad he couldn't see it. Joey the Blind Panther, Wakanda forever.
3-4.
No, I think this is that. I think Dan Morgan's going to take us back to the 4-3. I think after this failed experiment of David Tepper forcing Ron Rivera to try to dabble with it, then going through this now with, we had a 3-4 in a stupid college way with Phil Snow. It's like a 2-3-2-5-5 set, whatever it was. I think that you said earlier, Cody, that you're hoping that Tepper just adjusts till he figures it out. Well, adjust and say, Dan Morgan, go fix our defense.
Now, how would you recommend, or how do you suppose that he does that? By hiring
trade for Myles Garrett, fucking draft of Chenard or whatever, and there you go. We're in it.
By the way, I just want to say, as much as I don't see it happening, Myles Garrett is my favorite defensive player in all the NFL. So I would love to have that dude. I just know it's not going to happen. Well, I guess what I'm saying is like, if Dan Morgan wanted to move us to a 4-3 defense, for example, Robert Saleh is a guy that a lot of people are kind of linking to Carolina because of his past with Dave Canales up there in Seattle.
Where was he before the Jets?
He was with the DC for the 49ers.
Okay.
And then him and Dave Canales were quality control coaches for the Seattle Seahawks. So could Dan Morgan bring us back to a 4-3 by go and get someone like Saleh?
He played in a dominant 4-3 defense when he was in Carolina.
Yeah.
Illinois Jones, you have no idea. Joey's a rock star. You have no idea But we say Wakanda forever every time Joey calls in, because one time he called in and he's called Joey the Blind Panther because he's actually blind. And one time he said, this was what? I don't even know if this was the Matt Rule era or something like that. He's like, I didn't even watch this game. I went and played basketball with my blind friends. And somebody in the chat thought he said, I went and played basketball with my black friends. And they just went nuts. And they're like, why has he got to be black friends to play basketball? We were like, dude, he said blind friends, and I still want to see blind basketball so bad. In fact, let's watch blind basketball on Sunday and then do the post game and just have the callers tell us what happened.
And listen, and to be fair, from Joey's perspective, everyone's black, aren't they?
He sees no color. He sees no color.
He can't see anyone else. So,
oh gosh,
Wakanda forever. We love you, Joey.
Yeah, you know what? He's coming back for more.
In case you couldn't tell, we like to have a fun time over here at C3, and we don't take too much seriously. So
have
a good time with us.
Joey comes at it again.
Come on, Joey.
Hey guys, it's the girl that makes him howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther again, because I knew I was going to get cut off, and there was something else I really wanted to say. In all our losses, oh, and by the way, that was 96-9 the Cat. They have the Panther roar on there too, in case you heard that. But our past 3 games, right? They've all been losses. And outside of the Bears game, which I don't know what the hell happened to that team. I mean, I think it was just like DJ Moore. Like, I think they were just like, I don't know what it was, but that was ridiculous. I mean, that looked like the Bryce Young Panthers. But outside of that one, these losses didn't feel like week 1 and week 2. I mean,
no, but we're competitive.
Those, I mean, even though we lost on Sunday, I was still pretty happy with our team. I was like, dude, this is an improvement over last year. I mean, last year we weren't even competitive. At least we're in games. I mean, you could talk to the Cowboys fans that, you inevitably know because they're like roaches. They're every damn where. About 47-9. I mean, but see, that was us in week 1. But I think we have improved, and I'm happy to see that. And I mean, no, we're not going to win because we have no defense to speak of. I said that in my last call, and I'm going to say it every chance I get. Our offense isn't good enough to compensate for that, though I don't really think any offense is good enough to. But we can stay in games, we just can't close them because we don't have a defense. Right. That's what happens to, like I said, in the offseason, the Lions a few years ago when they first got Dan Campbell, when they still had a high pick, even though their offense was cool and showing flashes. I mean, we have Leggett showing flashes, dudes finding the end zone every week. I mean, we have Diontae Johnson getting involved, Miles Sanders doing things. And last but certainly not least, I saved him for last because he's the best. Chuba underground. I don't know if y'all heard that, but they were playing that at the stadium. That dude's a beast. So yeah, I'm impressed with this team. I hate settling for mediocrity, but
sure,
come on. Even I've seen the shit we've dealt with for the past few years. Anyway, guys. Wow.
I do like it when we get on more optimistic fans that come in and are like, hey, listen, this technically isn't as terrible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even compared to the past couple of years, Tony, like this team that we're watching now, especially with how the O-line has been playing and Andy Dalton occasionally making some good plays, like Panther football, especially after week 2, has not been terrible. I mean, at least not from an offensive perspective, which is what we wanted this year. We wanted to see a step forward on offense, except we wanted it to be with the Bryce Young under center.
Yeah.
But at least we do have something of a competitive offense. We do have Chuba Hubbard, who continues to look like a beast. We have a burgeoning offensive line that continues to be one of the best in the NFL, even though it's one of the worst altogether teams in the NFL. And we do have some talented young players that we are going to be able to build around in the future. Not many. We definitely need more. But, yeah, I wouldn't say this season feels right now. And I think you asked this last Sunday, Tony.
Yeah.
What season feels worse, 2023 or 2024? To me, it's 2023 head and shoulders above 2024. Because we had the number one pick. We had Bryce Young out there. And then just to see how inept we were on offense with the quarterback that was supposed to be the most advanced reading defenses, the most advanced with touch and layered passes across the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And it's like we were sold snake oil, like a false bill of goods altogether. Whereas now we're at least somewhat competitive, even though we seem to be back in that quarterback purgatory that none of us wanted to be in.
Well, the first 2 weeks of the season were unwatchable.
Yeah, 13 points. 13 points in 2 weeks.
I agree with you overall. And look, I would just put it this way: is I messaged you guys last week at 4 minutes left in the game. I said, let's start the post game. And last season we could have started the post game at halftime every week. Yeah, I mean, it was like the second half was meaningless to watch for us. At least the Panthers have been in games a little. I mean, down 8 in the fourth quarter, down 11 in the fourth quarter, down. All right, let's move on to the next call.
Hey, gentlemen, it's Christian. I just have a thought. I just heard you guys talk about Dan Orlovsky while I was sitting here cooking in the kitchen. And I really don't fucking understand what some of these fuckers are smoking. Because one day, all I hear about is how the Panthers failed Bryce because they put him out there too soon. And, you know, people like Tom Brady sit there and talk about how we don't develop and have patience with quarterbacks. And, you know, fuck Tepper for making them fucking play. But then they also want to argue about why isn't he playing? Why isn't he not out there right now? What's wrong? What fucking world am I living in here to where people are consistently talking out of both sides of their mouth? Just pick a side and go with it. But, dude, I just don't understand, because every time I see a former pro player talk about how the best development is for the kid to be out there, and then when we bench him, it's like, you know, what? That's the right. There's so many fucking different points of views, and I feel like people are just constantly contradicting themselves. Right? As much as I don't like Bryce, right now, this may be the best development for him. It's obvious because he wasn't getting anywhere out on the field.
Yeah.
So for any criticism of him not playing right now, I just have to say, shut the hell up.
Good call. I agree on this. I think putting Bryce out too young could complete. Look, I mean, there's an argument that some people were destroyed as a prospect already. One of the things is while one of the problems last year was CJ Stroud's success juxtaposed against Bryce's struggles.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, you know, the Panthers probably would have been better off playing Andy Dalton for the first 6 weeks, or until Andy, and if Andy was really struggling,
right,
then you could see maybe this isn't the best time to put in Bryce, or some various different things. I think putting Bryce in too early, in a place where he's going to have to throw the ball 50 times to keep up or something. I think that if you were talking about him in hindsight, sitting and learning last year, despite being a number 1 overall pick, I agree with the caller. Good point. All right. Last call of the night.
So, what's up, bro? This is Al, bro. I mean, like, I know he had a good call, but I disagree also, because, like, with Bryce and this motherfucker, dude, this offense, this defense will look way worse. It will look way worse, and like Bryce There's no reason to put Bryce back in the game. There's no reason to put Bryce back in the game. You see what he can do, and he looks horrible. He looks horrible, and there's no reason to put him back in the game. I mean, I know it's like I'm just like repeating the same shit, but goddamn, dude, ain't no way we fucking putting Bryce back in the game. He just trash, dude. Thank you guys for taking my call.
Thanks, Al.
I mean, again, it'd be different if when he was out there, we saw a spark, like even just one drive where we were like, "Oh wow!" Like I know he had a drive that did get us, a touchdown, but like it wasn't like even that one didn't cause you to be like, "Okay, maybe we give him an extra week. Maybe we give him like there was nothing that he had done that warranted putting any extra resources in him." In this season, like I just feel like we were causing more harm than good, not only to himself but to the other players around him.
I think one of the things that people are having a hard time with is just the amount that we paid to get up there and get him, and to already be like, after 18 games of his career, be like, "Nah, you're done. That was a bust. You're a bust. You're never going to be shit for us." If you've never been a fan of Bryce, like myself, that's a very easy pill to swallow. I've already swallowed it. But there are a lot of, how would you say, Bryce sexuals, since that's what we say over here, who were very, very excited about Bryce, who would still like to see us get something out of him. And I think that's the truth, but I just don't see that happening. And again, it would have to take a real shift in the locker room in order for them to go back to Bryce.
Right.
While there's still so much football left to play, man. Hey, White Chocolate Express over the $2 love bomb says off topic, but Joe Brady is getting a head coach job. He was always a scapegoat fire, man.
No. Have you seen their offense?
But now they got a receiver. Maybe it's going to start cooking.
Dude, their offense is not bad. They just need
it's
more
not
weapons.
great though. Like when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, like they didn't score. Like they scored 3 points in the second half last week.
Dude, I think.
Well, we'll see what happens as they add the new receiver. See if it's like the Diggs effect.
Yeah,
we'll see.
that's what I think.
I think it's again a premature decision.
What about
like
Curtis Samuel? Non-existent. Is even where is he? Zero production there.
He's non-existent up there.
Yeah, crazy. All right, those are the calls. That's the show. So for everything we've got, I guess picks. I'm taking the Commanders.
Yeah.
Anybody taking the Panthers other than Professor Charles Xavier?
Negative. I'm taking $20 and putting it on the Panthers, but other than that, it's all Commanders.
Let me answer Justin Long. One, I stand by that. If I was a quarterback, I would not have gone to the white party. And especially when y'all here with D and then we're doing it, them white parties.
Oh,
man.
I know. That's Steve staying on CJ.
Yeah, bro. Now he has pictures of him at that shit. And I do like that Bryce was working. But longtime fans know I was loud for Stroud, Playboy. Don't get it twisted, brother.
All right. So everybody's Commanders on the pod. Broncos at Saints. I'll take the Saints.
Is Spencer Rattler playing?
Yeah.
I'm taking the Broncos.
Wow. I thought they looked good with Spencer Rattler.
No, he had like 2 interceptions and less than 200 yards.
I saw him making some good plays, dude.
He had some plays that were okay, but
and I will take the Ravens over the Bucks.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Eddie's. All right, let's go. Let's hit. Look, podcast run long tonight. Even that, man, we pushed through some information tonight, dude. We had a ton to talk about, and we were rocking and rolling and moving. Calls were great. Chat was great. Longest running Panthers podcast on the interwebs or anywhere, even including the Teams podcast. We haven't missed a week since 2013. Maybe it moved a day or two here and now and then. But it's time for the longest running segment. Let's ice some fools up, Cody.
Let's do it. Ice up, toughen up. Get your act together. The longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. You can step outside the bounds of football. You can ice up your family. You can ice up kids in Oklahoma, which I've done. You can ice yourself up, or you can stick in the lane of football if you'd like. Guys, I've only got one tonight. So, Cody?
I only have one.
Perfect. CK?
Mine's going to be more political.
Okay. Well, I'll start then. It sounds political because it's going to use the word Trump in it. I just saw this headline. Trump media shares fall nearly 10% after Dow Jones plunge triggers trading halt. DJT plunge.
Wait, read that one more time, please.
Trump media shares fall nearly 10% after DJT plunge triggers trading halt. DJT stock, which had been up more than 13% earlier this afternoon, had abruptly turned more than 6% lower. They halted trading today. I don't know what is that the
Donald?
Oh, is that the tag for
Donald J. Trump?
Is that the tag?
Is that his properties?
No, it's Truth Media. So I'm icing up this. I'm icing up the idea that Truth Media still exists. Yeah.
Was that his his Twitter?
Yeah,
like his own version of Twitter that he was.
Yeah.
Now that he's all buddy pals with Elon, it's like there's no point.
It doesn't even look. Is that they got less action than Threads, right?
Dude, I remember when everyone was saying Threads is gonna take out Twitter.
No.
Fuck yourself, stupid.
The second ice up pick, I mean, it's still part of the same pick, is that the idea that Truth Media still exists and that the Donald Trump, whatever this is, the idea that Trump Media is worth $27 a share right now. I'm icing that up too. Whatever. Ice up.
I guess I'll go. But you want me to go, CK, or you want to go, or what you want to do?
Yeah, you can go ahead and go if you want.
Yeah, mine is very simple. You know it's bad when you're looking to get your nails cut, but your nails are so damn long and disgusting that they refuse your service.
Oh, that's the hair.
No.
Those are the nails.
Look at her nails.
You sick?
I can't look at it.
No, thank you.
Look.
Not looking.
Oh my god. So long as it's like that.
I can't find nobody to do my nails.
I thought it was her dreads.
She said I can't find nobody to do my nails.
I feel nauseous looking at that.
Look at her face. Look at her face. She's like, wow.
Oh god. Ugh.
Dude, I heard that when your nails are that long, that you're even you're in danger of cutting them. Like when if you were to cut them, like you could, I think like you could have a heart attack or.
I'm really a heart attack.
Dude, I'm really being real. I think that when you let your nails grow that long, there's a real danger. And actually cutting your nails like
that might be the first ice up pick I really almost threw up on the podcast from. That was gross, dude. That was gross. Ice up.
Is this real? I don't know if this is real. Oh, the Bears and the Commanders game. I thought he was talking about this. Okay, go ahead, CK.
So, and many of our viewers may have a bit better insight into all of the things going on in Asheville and Western North Carolina in general. But there's been a lot of things on social media that have been, kind of criticizing the response from the federal government and how they're handling the actual aid and what have you. And, as expected, politically speaking, these, politicians come out and they say that's all misinformation and what have you. But I've only heard from people on the ground that have experienced it firsthand, and I have not heard a single story where people have said that the government has been there and assisting in a way that has been substantial. And so I'm icing up the government in a couple of ways, because their argument that it's misinformation with no clear evidence and honestly even misstating
Disinformation
things.
too.
It's well, their own misinformation in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
From what they, like, you'll hear them explain why it's misinformation, and then somebody will go and like dissect it, and it's like they're like, oh, they're literally saying one thing and like just twisting the words of this one thing and making it seem like it's just this overarching incredible situation there. And so I'm icing that up, but I'm also icing up the fact that they're like, all of a sudden yesterday I get on a website. I'm not going to tell you the news organization it was. And the headline is aid halted in Western North Carolina due to a local militia threatening people. And then when you go to read the article, it says, we have not been able to substantiate these claims. And this is only coming from, and I'm like, okay, so you're telling me in the midst of all of this, the FEMA not having, there being a belief that FEMA does not have the resources to help the people of Northern or Western North Carolina, that all of a sudden they're making the decision to halt aid because they were feeling threatened. And with no evidence to support that, like none that anybody has been able to provide. It is literally only statements of somebody witnessed it from afar. And so it just seems eerily suspicious in the midst of all this misinformation that the government's telling us that they can't provide aid to the people of Western North Carolina because of something that has no ability to be substantiated, while people are claiming and have been telling stories for weeks that there has been an absolute lack of any help from the government in any substantial way. And the $750 thing, the fact that they're coming out and saying that people are only getting $750 is misinformation is also in and of itself a complete lie by the government that they continue to tell. It's just unbelievable the level that they're, the gaslighting that our federal government's providing us. And I'm just saying, ice up to them. And I'm just, I'm not telling anybody how to vote, but if you're looking at the situation and you're like, okay, who like, do I want more of the same, or do I not want more of the same? I just don't know what else you can do at this point in time.
It feels like, if I may add on to that, there is a war for the truth. You have the mainstream media calling everything that disagrees with mainstream media misinformation, whereas we can make the argument that mainstream media is the largest producer of misinformation that there is. And it's so hypocritical and it's so infuriating. And, thank God for a website like X, which they're trying to demonize as this right-wing platform. But when you see people posting videos of the things that they're talking about and posting videos of all the things that the mainstream media is telling you is a lie and a part of, Russian misinformation or right-wing propaganda, like they're trying to turn people against each other.
Yeah.
And it's fucking sickening. And, there's a reason why people don't go to these sources for news anymore.
Yeah.
But I agree wholeheartedly, man.
All right. There's an ice up for you. My name is Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can support the show by smashing the thumbs up button, subscribing, sharing the show, supporting our sponsors, maybe even checking out the website and buying some gear. Thank you, CK, Eternal Optimist, Golden Pipes, Cody Lack, my wheel man. Take us out of here, dude.
C3 Nation, until next time, keep pounding.